Hello and welcome to another episode of Podcast 572. As always, I'm your host, Kyle. I'm joined by my two friends, Dan and Matt. We have had, an interesting 2 weeks. We don't have we had one bigger event, I guess. We had the Nintendo Direct, which we'll get into, but the rest of the E3, not E3 stuff has kind of died down.
Yeah.
So now that that's over, but the Nintendo stuff, and we'll get into it, it was pretty cool. But we'll do what we always do. We'll start with what we've been playing. For me, I have dived back hard into Starfield since the big patch, that put out the 60 frames, and I've just been going back and forth between PC and Xbox. It works pretty seamlessly. I did encounter a bug that is kind of ridiculous that has not been fixed. Even in this most recent patch, there is a mission you can do. So there's a series of missions. I actually just finished these today because I was able to get around this. You can get around the bug, but so what it is there's a series of missions where you are working for one of these two competing mega corporations, and you basically become their secret operative. So they will send you on missions to do some stuff to maybe screw over the other company that you're in competition
part
with.
Of the quest line that I was actually able to do when I was trying to stream it.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
It's a very fun quest line, but there is one mission where you are supposed to go and meet a specific person at a specific location. And I'll explain why it's bugged and why the bug exists. But when you go to that location, the person just doesn't load in. So, and I was like, when it first happened, I'm like, something seems wrong here. So of course I Googled it. I find 3 different Reddit threads that are 500 pages each of people going, I can't find this dude. What it is when you go and start this whole series of missions, you are the guy that you are taking the place of that they fired has gone to work for the other corporation. And so one of the missions, depending on the choices you make throughout this whole quest line, one of the missions might be to take that person out. And so that's why you're trying to go meet that person. But spoiler, you don't know that it is that person until you meet him. The only reason I found out is because I Googled to see where is this fucking guy. And then I realized if you don't kill him earlier, because you have an opportunity to kill him earlier, earlier in the quest line. If you do kill him, it's just a random person that shows up. But if you don't kill him, then he is their operative that you have to take out. But in my quest line, he wasn't dead. So I go there, try to reload it. Then I'm like, okay, people suggest, well, just load up the PC version of it because it's on Game Pass and use console commands. And you can just get the person to load in, which you can do. But of course, the minute you do that, it marks you to not be able to get achievements because you've used the console command. And so then when I did that, it immediately then shows in my save file. I was like, oh, here's these 2 saves you have with the console command with the little icon, but then all my other saves are gone. And I'm like, no. I have over 100 hours of saves. So I backed out and then reloaded the game. And thankfully the saves are there. So I just deleted the 2 console command ones. And then I kind of started looking into it. I'm like, all right, how far do I have to backtrack to make a different decision so I don't get stuck in this, essentially? And that's what I ended up doing to get around it. So that is a bug that needs to be fixed that I'm honestly surprised that they have not fixed in the game yet. So it's very, very bizarre.
I told you that's just Bethesda bugs, especially with quest lines and pathing and stuff. I told you about my Fallout 3 experience where I was supposed to follow some guy to a building, and every time I would fast travel there, he would never show up. So finally, I decided to follow him one day, and a rad scorpion would kill him every time. So render that quest unfixable, like just because that's the way Bethesda's NPC pathing and like this stuff works.
It's fun to see that hasn't changed in like 20 years.
Oh yeah.
Like it's pretty much the same. Well, it's funny too, because like even this morning I was playing a little bit before work, and my girlfriend was watching me play it, and she was asking me what the game was, and I told her, and she was asking me like, well, is it, was it well received, because it's one of those, and I kind of explained to her, I'm like, well, like I think a lot of people had this notion that it was going to be like another one of those, but also have way too many elements of No Man's Sky. And because with the space exploration, and it's not like that. So I think that's where a lot of the disappointment comes. I mean, I love the game. I think it's great, but to me, it's another one of those. It's another Fallout. It's another Elder Scrolls. It's just set in space.
They haven't taken a step forward with this.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, that's the thing. I think a lot of people were really expecting, well, this is their next new thing, so they're going to take this giant leap forward, and it's just a baby step forward.
You got to hope at this point that Elder Scrolls 6 actually does do something to move forward, because I don't think they can put out another one of these games that's just
I don't think again. I don't think they can either. I'm dying to see what Elder Scrolls 6 is. I still joke, but it's like half joke now that they're going to call it Skyrim 2, because like there's a world in which I could see them do that though. Because at this point, Skyrim is almost more popular than saying Elder Scrolls.
It's its own thing.
So like
the biggest problem with that is it's been so long since Skyrim.
It's been 2011.
Yeah, so by the time 6 comes out, it'll be at least 15 years.
It's going to easily be at least 15 years.
Which is
think
crazy.
about it too, like Skyrim and Oblivion came out in the same console generation.
Yeah,
and not that far apart either. Like
not super far apart.
4 years.
4 years.
So, yeah. So, it's just ridiculous and wild to think about that. I mean, they're still using the same creation engine. It's just a new variation. And that was the thing I was hoping with this game when it originally came out, was maybe this is a new engine or something, which is it's just a variation. So the hope would be Elder Scrolls 6 is a new engine. So
or Fallout 5.
I know
that's got to be fast tracked at this point.
I know they have been like teasing and talking about using elements of Unreal 5. So it's possible that maybe they're doing something different, but we'll see. I don't think you see the Elder Scrolls 6. I don't even think you're going to see it next year.
No, I would guess like 26.
I think it's 26 is when they first start talking about it. I think you're going to get, and I think that was there was an interview recently with Todd Howard, and I think they, from what I remember reading, they said that they're going to do another year of content, like another big expansion, like they're doing this fall with the Shattered Skies for Starfield.
They're going to do another one.
So they're going to do another one after that. Good. Yeah, which is, I mean, for better or worse, this is their game to support for a while. So, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. I mean, at some point when it is dirt cheap, I will pick it up on Steam and play around with modding it. It's unfortunately like you can mod the games for Windows or whatever we're going to call that version, but it's not a fun experience. So it kind of fights you because it has the Xbox integration. So, But then the other big thing, I don't have a lot of exciting things I played this week. The other thing, Supermarket Simulator, I played a lot more of it, but the reason I bring it up is because out of the blue yesterday, and I did not know this was happening. I had zero idea. I just loaded up Steam to look at the summer sale, because the summer sale just started. And I noticed that the first game that was getting a patch I had installed was Supermarket Simulator. I was like, is this what I think it is? And I went and looked at the patch notes. Yep, this is their big awaited update. So it's kind of impressive and crazy what they put into it. So you can name your supermarket. You can paint your supermarket. You can get flooring for it. You can expand the supermarket even deeper. And you can expand the storage even deeper. Like I had already maxed the storage area. They have doubled the size of it now.
Wow.
Obviously, you have to earn money to buy more spaces. They don't just give it to you, but that's part of the game. But the other thing that's really cool is they've added way more amounts of shelving. They've also updated like all the textures and stuff, like the boxes and the packaging is all much more high definition now. Like I've noticed even some of them, the pictures have changed.
That's cool.
The fixtures all look different. Like they took time to maybe detail them more, so they look different. So like the freezers look a little bit different now. The coolers look different. The shelving looks different. You can buy different types. You can now buy corner shelving. You can buy like, you know, when you walk into a grocery store and they have those like just right out there stands, you can walk all the way around.
Oh yeah.
They have that now. Like it is ridiculous the stuff they added this game.
You're talking about like produce stands where you walk in and they've just got like
kind of like that. You can do that. So I misspoke yesterday when I told you there was a deli. It's not a deli, but they have like a deli like counter that you can put in.
Oh, okay.
So I imagine down the road they're probably going to do something where you can hire someone to work at a deli in there.
Cool. You get like that. You get like the fish station.
Yeah,
like that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. The other really really cool thing they did, and if this was in the patch notes, I missed it, but I noticed it, is one of my biggest pet peeves is like, so you can hire up to 4 stockers right now, and they all just stand in the front of your store doing nothing unless you put a box on the shelf. Well, they updated it now so that the minute you order your items and they show up at the curb, they just start picking them up and stocking.
They can go get them. Yeah,
that's good. I saw that.
And they go immediately. Cool. It's great. Like they just go to work immediately. They don't. It doesn't matter. Like the store could be closed. They're just like, fuck it, and they just keep going.
That's good.
I'm like sitting there like I want to earn my money and start it the next day. So it's a fantastic update. I put 110 hours into that game.
Jesus.
And I'm probably gonna put another 110 hours into it now. Yeah, I mean, like that's the thing, because it's been my like way to unwind and relax game for the past couple of months. So the only other thing I'll say as far as stuff is like we have the Steam summer sale going on. At some point I'm gonna pick up and I want to mod and mess around on PC with Elden Ring. So I'm going to do that because it's just the first time it's on a decent sale. It's not, you know, that's a game that like famously has not gone on sale. And I think they're doing it now because that expansion is out. So,
yeah,
which I don't know. I'm not going to buy the expansion, at least right away. I've watched a lot of people talk about it. I don't think I care to experience that right now. So, but I kind of want to mod that game and do a bunch of crazy stuff in it. I think that would be a lot of fun. So I'm going to look at that. I looked at some other stuff on Steam today, but those are the two main things. It's been a lot of Starfield and a lot of Supermarket Simulator. I will say briefly, I did start and have shelved Shin Megami Tensei 5. I can't get into it. That's the easiest way. Like something about it, like I will say this is the version to play if you were waiting to play it, because the frame rate is great now. It looks much better visually on a better platform than the Switch in terms of like visuals and stuff, but it's not grabbing me like 4 did. So I don't know, it's not grabbing me. So I was like, I'll put it on the shelf. It's there. I got the Steelbook, which is cool. I will look at it later on. Maybe I'm just not in the mood for that kind of RPG right now. It's not that I'm not in the mood for a role-playing game, because I super am, but and then I saw I have the PC version of it, so it doesn't matter for me, but I did also see today, for some reason, I don't know, I didn't put it in the notes, but I'll mention it real quick. They put out a new patch for Dragon's Dogma. I don't know if you saw this or heard about this. Okay, for console specifically, they've added a low or high graphics option, but no frame rate option. So you can lower the graphics to improve the frame rate, or if you have a TV or a monitor that supports 120 hertz, you can do that.
Weird.
But no frame rate option.
That's strange.
So just really, really weird choice there. So, but that's another game. Like I'm at the point now where like I'd probably rather play that on a console, but I'm still holding out to see like, will they finally just put a frame rate option in the game? Seems like we're getting closer. So, but that pretty much wraps up what I've been playing. So I'll kick it over to you, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, once again, nothing special. Just really trying to clear out backlog stuff.
You wrote same old stuff. So.
I wrote same old stuff, and that does not include Forspoken, so we can't talk about that right now, just because
he needs a long break.
Well, I'm in the middle of the long break, and I'm trying to finish. The number one thing I'm trying to finish right now is Rogue Galaxy, and get that out of the way.
You gonna platinum that? Does it have a platinum?
I'm gonna try, because it really just entails playing the game and then doing like the post game stuff, and then some tiny stuff here and there. Honestly, the hardest trophy it looks like is going to be to get to level 99, just because that's going to take forever. Because so what I'm at in the game now is I have reached the final boss, and let's talk about what a bullshit fight the final boss of this game is. Because and the reason I say hitting 99 is hard, I'm like 58 right now.
Okay.
And that's from doing a lot of stuff. I haven't done like the side quests, like hunting things yet or whatever, but I can't imagine that's going to take me up that many more levels. So I think it's really just grinding in the post game dungeon to get there. But this final boss, so spoilers for an old game, but I told you jokingly that's like, so the plot of this game in the beginning starts as I want to be a space pirate. And then now the final part of this is I have to kill God, which is
it's a JRPG.
My girlfriend's mom's like protector of their planet, which they sealed off because the mother is the god. She wants to like plague the entire universe to cleanse it, essentially.
This all checks out, though.
And again, falling into the trope, I am also the descendant of the Star King. So at some points you can like power up almost like Dragon Ball, where you like start to glow red and your hair changes. And then it turns out the mystery guy in the beginning of the game was your dad, and your mom was the descendant of the king, but she died because she got the plague, and your dad gave you. It's every trope possible. For the my girlfriend ends up being the long lost princess of this sealed off planet. Of course she is. It's just ridiculous, but it's in a good way. It's what you expect of a PS2 RPG, right?
I told you that and I mean maybe a spoiler for Shin Megami, but the difference there is you kill Satan as the final boss of that game.
Satan's always been a big part of those.
But hey, it's a good choice because usually it's God. So in these Japanese role playing games,
time it's God or a manifestation of God or whatever. At one point, I had to kill my girlfriend's dad after God turned him into like a lion. Whatever. It's all the safe shit. But
I remember firing the sin bullet into God in Persona 5.
Exactly. So the final boss, you fight God. The fight that's a 2-part fight, and I'll be honest, like it's actually pretty easy compared to some of the bosses I've had to do in this game before. Pretty simple. But that's just the beginning. When God dies, the other the B-level bad guys you've been facing off with against throughout the game.
Yeah, sure.
They show up on their like spaceship at the end. Okay. And they're like, we're going to take all this stuff and we're going to use it to control the universe. But then God, as she's dying, like reaches up and grabs the ship and basically pulls it into this crap. And then it comes back out as a sentient demon battleship with like the personalities and bodies of like these 3 people like merged in it. And then it becomes a boss rush of 8 fights in a row, 1 with each character in a one-on-one scenario. So I sure hope that you like playing as everyone by themselves and knowing how they play, because they all play differently. I managed to kind of force myself through the first 5. And I got to the 6th. By the time I get to the 6th, I'm an hour into this fight, like these fights in a row, right? All of a sudden, the difficulty of this thing changes, where it jumps another level.
Yeah.
And I have to fight as a guy I have not really used, and I die. Okay, where did it save? Oh, gee, it saved before the first God fight.
Can you not like manually save it? Okay.
Nope. You have to fight all 10 of these fights.
Sounds like a true PS2 era JRPG is what you're telling me.
Without failing. And by the time I died, I was almost like, I would say like an hour 20 into it.
God,
because some of the one fight was difficult to manage because you have to attack this one thing while this other guy runs around. So I was like, oh, I'll take out the guy that's running around. So I killed him. He stays dead for maybe 30 seconds. And then he just comes back at full health. So that's not the point of that fight. So I wasted all my time doing that. Some of these fights are just the same, but you have to do it with 2 different characters. So that's kind of a cop-out. It's a frustrating way for this game to end, considering how good it's been the whole time.
It's a bummer.
So I feel like I do have to go off and probably level a little bit, just because the one guy was not. I don't think I was strong enough with the one guy I finally died with. So I got to get him leveled up.
Do you own the strategy guide for this game?
Of course I do, man. I bought it for the PS2. So I got to
say, I figured.
I gotta bust that out and go.
I feel like maybe I do or something, because I thought
it's a big one. It's really
I thought
thick.
we ran into it at a half price run at some point, and you were like, "Buy this."
Probably.
So
it's a really good guide. It's really thick. It's probably 2 to 3 inches thick.
Because I have the PS2 to PS4 version of it, so I bought it at some point.
Again, super good. It's just one of those things where it's going to take me probably another couple playthroughs to finish this part, and then I got to do the Ghost Ship Extreme after.
Yeah. What is that? That's the end
That's
game?
the post game super crazy dungeon. So we'll see how that goes. But
like every one of those games.
That's the PS2 era game. Like every one of those games had something dumb at the end, like Star Ocean did. Final Fantasy X-2 had a dumb bonus dungeon.
Yeah, it did.
I like all those games. That was like you had to have something like that. So there's that. I played more Ghostbusters. Almost done with that. We just have to play a lot of like the ghost rounds to do it. That's nowhere near as fun as playing as the Ghostbusters.
Okay.
Because it's only one of you, and everybody else is a Ghostbuster, and the whole point of it is you have to go around scaring civilians and haunting stuff and doing all. It's not as fun, but that's almost done. Other things here and there. We played more Outriders.
Yeah,
boy, man, every time it feels like we're almost done with that game, it's like here's a new area. It's like, damn, dude.
I think you looked it up though and determined like we're pretty close to the end.
We have to be now because we're max level. We're in like the prestige tiers, and we're in the world tier 15, which is the max of the max main tier. Game. So like we've got to be close.
We got to be close to the end of it, but.
So other than that, the only other thing I really have is I have a GameStop story just because I went to one on Sunday, and. I only went in there because we were at the mall anyway, and I do have that $5 coupon to burn.
Yeah.
And I might as well try to use it. And they were having a sale on some stuff, so I finally decided I'll buy a physical copy of Red Dead 2 for PS4 just because I've been meaning to own it, and it's never been the right price, but it was $20 and I had $5. I'm like, let's just do it. And if I don't open it for 6 months, I don't open it for 6 months. So I pick it up and I bring it up to the counter. And the person helping me says, "Oh, have you ever seen gameplay on this?" And I'm thinking to myself, this game is 6 years old.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I am aware of what Red Dead is. I think everyone is. Everyone who comes in here is aware of what Red Dead is.
Everybody
I kind of just brushed it off, and I was like, I have for Xbox. I've just been meaning to get it for PlayStation, whatever. But then, man, the spiels began. Now, this store is in a corner. This store is in a mall. And it's in a very crowded mall, and it's in a crowded mall about 45 minutes from where I live. I don't make it a point to come here. I just stop in if I'm here.
Also, I think it's been long determined that, working in a mall store is harder than your standard store to get reserves, or just because
for the most part, because
most of the traffic you're getting are not going to be regulars.
It's foot traffic.
Regularly going to the mall.
People buying knickknacks or smaller things.
Yeah.
Not even necessarily I don't think consoles and stuff, unless somehow this is the closest store to you, which they did close the other one outside of it. So maybe it is for some.
Maybe it is for some people. Yeah.
But so we start going through the spiels of, what games are you looking forward to? And I don't we've talked about in the past where I will sometimes say I used to work for a GameStop, leave me alone. But for whatever reason, I did not do it this time. And I probably should have, because then I was like, oh, I'm getting college football in a couple weeks. Oh, did you pre-order yet? I said, not yet. I gotta go do it. Well, and then she starts going into it, and I said, I don't live here. I live 45 minutes from here.
Yeah.
And then oh, okay. And then it was, you want the protection on the game. It covers everything. It's like, I get why you're doing it, but again, this is a PS4 game. I'm probably not going to open for 6 months. So no, I don't need it. And then the final thing was, do you want to sign up for the GameStop credit card?
Oh God!
And I just went, no. I should have pulled out my old one from my wallet and just been like, do you mean this? Because I still have it. But I get it. But man, I don't miss it at all. And the funniest part I told you after the fact was, after all that, there was still something they forgot to mention to me because I was talking to my friend, and they had forgotten to mention, sell us your graded trading cards. And I'm actually really glad it did not.
Yeah, the new hotness.
Well, that's I was telling you that's the new Bitcoin for them, where it's going to be something that or not the Bitcoin, but the NFT shit. Something they're really hot on when it's making money in the beginning. And then in 6 months, when all of a sudden nobody's trading in their cards, or they have finally figured out maybe we shouldn't give this amount for the card we're going to sell for this much.
Yeah.
Because it's going to eventually the prices they give for stuff is going to stabilize in a certain way.
Yeah. It is.
Because retro was like that when we first started taking it back. Prices were super weird for what they gave versus what we sold it for. And then that kind of normalized itself out. But God, I'm glad I didn't have to have that conversation because I'd been like, I have zero interest in grading anything.
Not interested.
No. But man, I don't even necessarily think I have a problem with like get the pre-order, do all this kind of stuff. But this person was just so annoying with it. It's like, just leave me alone. You have too much energy to care about getting reserves at the mall. But
that's how it goes sometimes with those.
So I got my Red Dead. Maybe I'll open that in a year. I don't know. Who cares?
I was gonna say before the next time we record, I think we should probably check out The First Descendant.
Oh, it's free, right?
It's out Tuesday, I think, the 2nd.
Is that free? That's free, right?
It's free. It's free to play.
Okay.
So
yeah, I'll play that.
I want to check it out. I think we should be able to talk about that next time we record.
Yeah.
So that's out Tuesday. I mean, I'm in the mood for a Destiny-like game without actually going back to Destiny 2. So
yeah, just
because that just seems like insane to try and go back to that now.
I wouldn't try playing a Destiny game again until 3.
Yeah.
Same. Like I wouldn't even bother.
I mean, I hear great things about that latest expansion, but there's no way.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. It's just I stopped playing that game 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Which is insane that it's been that long, but that's how long it's been since I played that game, and I just don't feel like I could ever get back into it. And mainly because, and the other thing too is like, I've been telling my friend I'm going to get back into Final Fantasy 14 when that expansion hits. So now I got to get that, and like I got to get caught up on that, and that's going to take me.
Is that out? That's out now, right?
I think early access is out now.
Okay.
But it's going to take me a week to get caught up on that.
Did you played the last one? Which was the last one? Endwalker.
Oh man,
or has there been one between?
I don't know if there was a major one between. I think there might have was like the updates and stuff, but I did play that, and so I'm relatively caught up. But you know, I'm behind everybody else for weeks, months.
That's why, like MMOs, I skip just for that reason of unless you are constantly in it, I find it, or coming back with each major expansion, I find it gets overwhelming.
Yeah, when I get into it, I'm into it. Like it's like the game I play all day kind of a thing. But when I finally reach a burnout phase, it's like I got to turn it off and just distance myself, especially since you have to pay monthly. I don't have a problem with that just because I do play the game enough to justify that. But that's why I wait for an expansion to turn it back on and play for 3 months and then I take a break again.
Yeah. That's the best way to do that.
Yeah.
But that's it for me. Same old stuff, man.
What about you, Matt?
I finished out Hotline Miami.
It's great.
I enjoyed it. I had a blast with it. I thought the story was really good on that one. So I figured, well, I deleted it and I was like, you know what? Let's just go ahead and jump into Hotline Miami 2. Why not? So far, I'm not liking this story as much as I like the first story.
I'd say, well, it goes a lot more ambitious, but I don't think the story is nearly as good or captivating as the original. It's not bad by any means, but
oh no, like I love the fact that it's similar to the first one as far as gameplay goes and everything like that. So I mean, I'm okay with it. I'm just more like, we'll see what happens as it goes on. I decided to jump back into Dave the Diver. I finally got to the point where I started the Godzilla expansion.
Yeah, I remember reading like you have to be at a certain chapter point.
Yeah, you have to be on chapter 5 to start anything on it, which was kind of cool because it just kind of popped in like, you don't really read, like it doesn't pop up and say chapter 4. It just gives you dates as you're just going through everything. Yeah. So like the lady popped out the little submarine and she was like, hey, and then they started a little conversation and she was like, well, I'm looking for Godzilla. And I was like, what? And so so I ended up binding him. He looks really cool in the game, I'm not gonna lie.
That's cool.
The storyline right now is he's injured, so he's resting, but I don't know what's about to happen because, like, technically one of the other bosses you fought was that big octopus.
Yeah.
So I don't know if at some point it's just going to turtle down into like an all-out brawl.
He's probably charging up.
Yeah. So I'm super stoked to see what happens.
That's pretty cool, though.
I say, man, that game is just like opened up so much more now. Like, it's insane. The fact now that there's like this, I forgot what they refer to him as. I want to say they're like ambient people or something like that.
Okay.
But they're like these hooded people, and you have to go to like different locations now on your boat. Like, you have to go into like different vortexes to find different fish.
Okay, that's kind of crazy.
People. And the thing about it is, like, so, like with your restaurant, you open it up and like, you normally go through like 2 waves of people and then they kind of disappear.
Yeah.
But when it's if you can catch a lot of fish for this ambient phase, they'll keep eating as long as you have the fish to supply them. So like your restaurant can stay open a lot longer.
Okay. Interesting.
It's a lot more cool. It's a lot more challenging because the fish are a lot tougher. Like when you dive at night, everything comes after you because you're not supposed to be there. So it makes it a little more challenging to like get around and stuff like that. But it's fantastic. I'm absolutely in love with Dave the Diver. If you don't have it now, I don't know what you're doing with your life. But I also kind of went on a Steam purchase. Chaos map.
Well, Steam's. I mean, I don't know if you picked these up during the summer sale, but
so I didn't. But they were on sale when I grabbed them.
Oh, okay. Because the summer sale is going on right now. I think it just started yesterday.
Yeah, and I have some stuff in my cart that I think I'm going to grab this week, so I can try and start looking. But the first thing I bought was Contraband Police. I had been looking at that for a little while.
It's an interesting game.
Yeah, and it dropped on sale. I think it was like 30% off, 40% off, something like that. So I went in and pulled the trigger on it. It's pretty fun. I mean, I'm only like probably like 30 minutes into it, but I've enjoyed what I've played so far of it, and it seems like it's a lot of different to it to actually get into it. So I'm excited to see exactly how far that goes.
It has a good tutorial.
Yeah, it really does. I've enjoyed it so far. The other thing I bought was Body Cam, which
we talked about Body Cam.
I'm kind of mad I didn't read I didn't read the details of it before I bought it, because if I had known it was like a deathmatch style game, I wouldn't have bought it. But
so there's no single player at all, right? It's just
it's literally you load into lobbies and you kill everything.
Because I think I sent you the other one that's coming out. That is
unrecorded.
Yeah,
I do want to buy that. I do want to buy that because that's story driven. Kind of like Ready or Not.
And I mean, to be fair, that's what I thought this was until you mentioned that, and I was like, oh no, I'm not interested now.
Then it was funny because once I bought it, I went after I played the first round. I exited out and I went back into it and I read it and I was like, God, why didn't I read this the first time when I bought it? I just got so interested and I just gave it up. But it's not bad. I will preface that by saying it's actually a really good game. Like, graphics on it are beautiful. The downfall is it's like you get shot once and you're down. Like, it really feels like
sounds like Call of Duty.
Yeah. So you can die like in an infinite amount of time. But I went ahead and returned it or refunded it because I was just like, I'm not in the mood to play another one of these. But I mean, if you like that kind of thing, I definitely say Body Cam should be in your purchases. It looks beautiful. It's just not something I was down for when I bought it. Yeah. So I'm gonna definitely say it's a no-go for me. And then I ended up buying this game called Chained Together. I've been seeing a little bit about it.
I've seen that one too. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I've heard of it.
A friend of mine's, she streams, and she needed someone to play with her, so I streamed it, or I played it with her on her stream tonight before we recorded. And it's up to 4 players co-op. You have 4 people chained together. You can either be chained together in a line, or the other option is chained together in a circle.
Okay.
So the circle one, of course, is a lot harder versus the lined one. But you have to essentially traverse obstacles to get out of hell.
Okay.
And I can say it's a lot of fun from what I play. If you play with a group of people, it's going to be entertaining. If you're playing by yourself, and you're like in a lobby, I can understand exactly how heated people can get in that game, but it's a lot of fun when you're playing with friends.
It reminds me of that Switch game, and I can't think of the name of it, but I've talked about it before on here with the Wacky Arms. That's co-op, where you have to you and whoever you play with, you have to move the arms a certain way and connect to each other, and you have to rely on each other to get through the levels. Like,
it's
that can get frustrating really fast.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, it was $5. And for $5, it was definitely a lot of fun. And I only played for maybe like 45 minutes before. So,
now, I know we had mentioned it. I can't remember if you had picked it up or not. Did you end up picking up Graveyard Keeper?
I did end up picking up Graveyard Keeper. I bought the normal.
You bought the regular. Yeah, well, because you had told me, because I had mentioned to you, like, that's a great game. I played a lot of it, a couple of years ago on the Xbox, but I've been waiting for those DLCs. And then you told me, well, they're all on sale on the PlayStation. And I went and looked at, you can just buy the whole complete thing for $10. So I ended up doing that, because if I'm going to go back to that game, I would probably start over at this point, because a lot has changed since I played it.
And I wanted to buy the complete version, but then I was like, well, you know what? Let me just play the original, because if I'm not a big fan of it, I don't want to, it's only $10. But I didn't want to invest in all that DLC content if I wasn't going to be a fan of it. So I just figured I'd buy it, and I haven't started it, but like I went on.
It's cool as hell.
I've been on a binge of buying shit digitally right now, and I probably need to slow my ass down.
There's a lot of good sales going on right now. Like,
well, I went ahead and bought the Borderlands: A Handsome Collection.
Yeah.
Because one of the guys at work was telling me how Borderlands 1 I should play through it. It was a lot of fun for him, and I was like, well, if it was only like $9, and I was like, well, why not? Let's just go ahead and buy it. And then I bought the SNK Samurai Showdown collection.
Okay.
It was like,
I know what you mean,
$10 too, and I was like, well, why the hell not? Let's just go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna try to jump into those games this weekend. I've been playing a lot more on my PC, of course, but I'm like, you know what? If I keep buying these games, I think my wife is gonna find out. So I need to actually start playing through them before she like gets mad at me. But
there you go.
I can at least fight and say that I bought them all on sale, so I'm not having to pay full price for them. But yeah, I'm gonna see what I can get into this week. Like I said, I played through a lot of Hotline Miami the past 2 weeks, and it was a lot of fun. So I'm gonna hopefully get through Hotline Miami 2. I don't know how long Dave the Diver is, but I'm gonna try to play through as much of that as I possibly can.
I would assume at this point the game is endless.
I feel like it's getting there.
It ends when you want it to end.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I'm going to try to get through those other things I purchased. So
because like you get to that point in Stardew Valley where it literally just becomes endless and you can just keep going with your farm forever. So I would assume Dave the Diver would work the same way at a certain point, given what everything they're adding
and
to
things keep opening up. Like I said, when I get kind of like, when I'm like, oh, okay, this is kind of repetitive. It's like the game hears me and just opens the new thing up. And I'm like, whoa, okay. Because like now, right now I'm at the point where I have somebody. Oh, that's what I was going to tell you. So like one of the stages I just played was fucking stealth. Like you had to like sneak around and shit. Like this game has opened up so many different things right now. It's so crazy. But yeah, now I went through a stealth mission, like trying to like infiltrate this lab of people that environmentalist people that aren't really environmentalists, but you'll figure that out later. And now you're getting a new suit built so you can go through the colder parts of the ocean. Like, so I really don't know exactly how much further this game opens up, but I'm super excited because, like I said, every time I play through it, it gets more and more deep. So
yeah,
right now going. that's my number one game of 2024, man.
Yeah, like my goal is to try and finish this run of Starfield this week, and then I want to really dive into modern Elden Ring. So
nice.
That's the plan. So, but we can kick over to news. We got there's a fair amount of news. When I first started building the document for this show, I was like, boy, seems like it's going to be a dead, week of news. But there's actually been some stuff that's happened. So, but we'll start it off here with I would say the biggest thing that happened in the last 2 weeks, which is Nintendo got their Direct, which we'll go through the announcements that they had. They kicked it off with Mario and Luigi. So a new Mario and Luigi game called Brothership, which you like the name. I don't care for the name.
Why don't you like the name? Like,
it sounds really weird. It sounds like they're beaming up to the mothership or something.
They have a ship in the game, and they're brothers. That's the point.
Do they actually have a ship in the game?
Yes.
I don't remember seeing that in the trailer.
Yeah, they have.
I have no problem with the actual game though. Like
they go to like different islands and stuff. Like that's the point.
The game looks cool.
It looks great.
I don't think I played the last one.
I really haven't played one of them since first one. Like Partners in Time on DS.
Yeah, that's probably the last one that I played. They talked a little bit more about that Nintendo World Championship coming out, which is coming out soon, July 18th. They went over like some of the different modes that are in it. I mean, that thing does look pretty cool.
It's pretty fun. I've had it reserved since they announced it.
Yeah, well, you have that. Aren't you getting that like NES edition?
Yeah, I like the. It's cool. The idea of what's in the box for that. Yeah,
it's a cool idea.
Yeah.
They talked about Fairy Tail 2 here, Winter 2024, which is like another anime. Isn't it an anime fighter, right?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Fantasian Neon Dimension, which I believe this is the one that was an Apple Arcade game, right, Dan?
Yes.
The
Final Fantasy game.
From the Final Fantasy. This is cool because I thought when the game originally came out, it looked like a really cool game. I'm never going to sit down on my phone and play this type of game.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's coming out. This is one of the announcements, I believe, that was at the show that is on other platforms too. So it's not just the Switch.
Right.
But this is a really cool thing. So one of the more exciting announcements there.
I'm down for that one.
They're doing a basketball update for Nintendo Switch Sports. It reminded me that I have Nintendo Switch Sports. I forgot that I bought it. Yeah, I bought it, and then there was like a week where my girlfriend and I played a lot of bowling and tennis, and then we just, for whatever reason, we just stopped. So, but yeah, I do have that. But yeah, I totally forgot it even existed until this came up, and I was like, oh, that's right. That exists. This was the game that you and I both thought, Dan, that this was Silksong. I thought, they're finally. I thought it was. Yeah. For a brief second, I was like, oh, they're finally doing it, so the people can be happy. No, this was a different game coming out called Mio Memories in Orbit. Mm-hmm. It reminds me of that type of Metroidvania game, though.
Yeah,
and like I said, when it started, the character looks like that Silksong character a little bit. So, they also announced an update for Disney Illusion Island that came out last summer. That's pretty. I think it's a free update for that game.
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm.
They showed off Hello Kitty Island Adventures for next year.
Excited about that one.
There you go.
This is, what the thing about that
Isn't
game
it just like Animal Crossing type game?
Basically,
right?
But it's on multiple platforms. So that it's like if you want Animal Crossing on your PlayStation, that's going to be kind of the closest thing.
Okay,
you're going to be able to get kind of a thing.
And it's Hello Kitty, man.
Looney Tunes Wacky World of Sports, which that looks kind of weird.
I don't know. It doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good. It doesn't harken me back to the Super Nintendo or Nintendo days of Looney Tunes games.
Looney Tunes Basketball, this is the first thing I thought of, which was like a Super Nintendo game I played a lot of. So I was like, oh, maybe it's like that. And then just like, it doesn't look good. Something about it just looked wrong. It might be it's just the Switch version doesn't look good. But the animation I didn't like. The
animation looked a little off on it.
A little wonky.
Among Us got an update. It's out now. Adds new roles for the game. So you can be a noisemaker, tracker, and phantom. I have never played Among Us.
I played a tiny bit of it a year ago.
Never had an opportunity, and just I don't know.
I feel like it would be fun with a lot of people, but I think like by myself with strangers, I would not enjoy it.
No, I'm gonna enlist your help, Dan. Is this pronounced Farmagia? Okay, wow, I was gonna butcher that. This is the weird like farming RPG type, right?
It's like Pokemon farming.
Pokemon farming.
Where like you grow the monsters.
Yeah. All right, yeah, now I remember. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's out November 1st.
That's on everything too, I think.
Yeah, that I believe was on everything as well. This is one that some people are up in arms because of the pricing, which is Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. People are upset that it's a $60 game instead of a $40 game. I can understand that to an extent.
Sort of. I mean, it's Nintendo first party. Yeah. And it's a remake of a Wii game, so it has been a long time. So I get it.
Now we get to one of the big bangers of this showcase, which is Dragon Quest III HD 2B Remake. Will be out November 14th. This is on everything. It looks fantastic. We haven't seen this We haven't seen it, like 2-3 years? It's been a while.
It's been a long time. Yeah.
But then at the end of it, they panned out the camera a little bit and announced that you are also going to be getting a HD 2D remake of Dragon Quest 1 and 2 next year.
And that should be a package, which is good.
And those two will be in a package. And I believe the creator said this is the way he meant for these to be played, which is why
chronological order. Okay. So this is why it's being released this way.
Awesome. One of the big highlights of the show.
I hope the thing about
I have it reserved. So.
I do too. I hope that this leads them to realize that yes, translating Dragon Quest X offline is a good idea.
I want that too. I really want that too.
Please do that. I saw the trophy list come in for the PlayStation 4 for like the Japanese version. I was like, please just translate the game.
Just do it.
It's the only one we don't have.
It's ridiculous.
You made it offline. The reason we couldn't have it before is because it was online. That's why you're never going to give it to us. You've solved that problem. Just have somebody translate it.
If you buy this,
if you buy these two games,
this tells them
3 and 1 and 2 sell. I don't think it would be the next thing that they would do. I think
you get 12 next.
Even then, I don't know if that lives in the same realm of like what they're working on.
True.
12 is in its own world, and that just kind of comes out when it does.
True.
But there's some reasoning to be like remake 7 for Switch and stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's that's trapped on the PS1 kind of a thing.
It is. Yeah.
So there's some reasoning for that would be great, but I think if enough people buy 3 and 1 and 2 and probably 12, they would finally translate 10.
We need it.
We need it.
Funko Fusion. Any interest in Funko Fusion?
Looks like pure garbage, Kyle.
Yeah, I agree.
I couldn't tell you what that game is. Why anyone would care.
I laughed when I saw it comes on my birthday, and I said, no, thank you.
It's too much of a mix of random properties.
It's weird.
And I get the point of, it's Funko. That's fun. But it's Jurassic Park and Scott Pilgrim and Stranger Things and Invincible and Five Nights at Freddy's and Back to the Future and Jaws. It's too much.
It's too much.
No.
I think I might buy it for my son just to see if he likes it.
I think feeling
something like that might
do well. Yeah, I think with kids and stuff.
I have a feeling though that is one of those games where like around Christmas it's $20.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I can see that. Yeah. Obviously it's out now, but Luigi's Mansion 2 HD reminded me that was coming out. At some point I need to pick that up, but I didn't. I'll wait till it's
cool that they did it to finally mark. Like now you can just have all of them.
Yeah. No, it's cool. The new Denpa Man, which
this is a game for you, right?
I didn't get much out of the trailer when I watched it. Just I laughed at the title, the new Denpa Man.
It's an RPG.
It's an RPG. Yeah.
Weird.
Random game. That July 22nd. Here's another hot title from the Direct that we already knew about it, but or no, actually,
this is a different one.
This is a different one.
Yes.
Metal Slug Attack Reloaded. I was thinking of the turn-based game.
This one is a tower defense, like almost like a gotcha.
Okay. Yeah.
I do want to check it out just because I do love Metal Slug. But
I do too.
If anything, it just makes me really want the Tactics one.
Which is out later this fall.
But the Tactics one, I don't know if we ever brought it up on here, but they finally announced that it's coming to PlayStation 2.
It's coming to play. It's coming.
I think it's on both. Well. But like it was going to be Switch only, and I was like, man, that kind of sucks. But that Tactics on everything, awesome. I love Metal Slug.
Darkest Dungeon 2. This makes a lot of sense. I actually have and played a bit of the first Darkest Dungeon on the Switch, so it's a really good way to play the first one. I imagine it'd be the same here. July 15th, that'll be out for the Switch. This we kind of chuckled about a little bit. So they did their, every Direct update for Nintendo Switch Online. So if you have the expansion pack, you get do you need the expansion pack for Game Boy Advance games?
Yes.
You do? Okay. Mm-hmm. I thought so. So the 4 games they announced, you get Zelda 4 Swords, Metroid Zero Mission. Those are the 2 Game Boy Advance. And then they announced 2 64 games, which is, to me, the chuckle.
Mature rated
64 games. So you get the original Turok, which a better version of that exists on the Switch.
Yeah, I own that. I already own it.
You own and I own as well, yeah. And then Perfect Dark, which also has a better version out there to play.
Right.
If you play that 360 arcade, which is backwards compatible on the Xbox.
Yeah, or it's Rare Replay.
Or if you have Rare Replay, it's on that as well.
What's a weird thing to me is Why wouldn't they just put why can't they make Rare Replay for Switch?
I would think it would work because
wouldn't that be good? Like, we're talking about games that were at the most they were 360 games.
I was gonna say even the 360 games that are a part of that collection, like Viva Pinata, would be fine. Yeah, that would do well. I would think that would do really well.
Viva Pinata on Switch? Yeah, hell yeah,
that was
a great game.
Yeah, it was.
But I feel like that's one of those ones where they could be like coming to PS5 and Switch Rare Replay.
Yeah,
because them allowing Perfect Dark to get put on this thing after they just finally showed off the new Perfect Dark. This is just another example of Microsoft really doesn't care, especially when it comes to Nintendo.
They don't.
Especially when it comes to Nintendo, they're like, you guys can do whatever you want.
Well, and they're also, I will highlight, like, it does have online play, but I don't
think you would need to.
I don't think I've ever played online other than Mario Kart on the Switch.
I just don't.
Even though I have online.
I love Perfect Dark, but it's that is a GoldenEye clone, and they don't hold up because the control schemes don't hold up.
The control scheme is fine on the 360 version because they updated it.
Right.
But I don't think it's going to be great on the Switch.
I guess if you had that 64 Switch controller, that would make it okay. Just because that would be how you'd have to play it.
Agreed.
It just doesn't hold up. And that's coming from somebody who loves Perfect Dark and thinks it is a better
played
game.
Hours. It's on my shelf over here. I played
it every day for months with friends.
It was a summer... the summer that it came out, it actually, I don't know if I told the story on here. I had to, in middle school, I had to carpool because I went to a private school in middle school. I carpooled with a kid that I did not get along with. And for whatever reason, Perfect Dark was the way that we bonded and became friends.
Fucking great.
Because at the time, this was right before I got, he did not have a 64. I had a 64 and I had a PlayStation. And he shit talked Perfect Dark all the way up till release. I was like, just then fucking come over and see what it is, man. And then that was every day that summer. We're just playing multiplayer.
I say it all the time.
Co-op.
Perfect Dark is an achievement because that game had bots. It's a 64 game that had intelligent bots. There were Xbox PS2 games that didn't have intelligent bots.
Yeah.
And this is on a fucking cartridge.
Crazy game.
Yeah.
Phantom Brave: The Lost Hero is out in 2025. It's another tactical turn-based RPG.
I played the PS2 one a long time ago.
I was gonna say it's a revival of an older series, right?
Yeah, I actually have I have a sealed copy of that game for PS2. I don't know why.
This was another cool one. That was another banner announcement here. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection, Arcade Classics. Including X-Men Children of the Atom, Marvel Superheroes, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of the Superheroes, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and my favorite, The Punisher.
That's crazy that The Punisher was
it's a weird choice that's in here, but that's awesome. The selling point for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
so that alone will get me to buy a copy of it. That is also out on PlayStation.
That and MVC2 are like huge things.
That's going to sell because of MVC2
sells it to everyone automatically. But like Punisher is great. I really like that X-Men Children of the Atom game too. Marvel Superheroes is good. I wish it would have gone harder and there's a couple like older Super Nintendo ones I wish that could have got put in there.
Yeah.
And like if the Punisher's in there, we couldn't have got you're telling me we couldn't have put Maximum Carnage in there?
Or Sinister Six
Separation Anxiety.
Separation Anxiety.
You're telling me we couldn't put one of those in there, but we could get the Punisher? Come on.
Played a lot of that. I play a lot of the Separation Anxiety game randomly. Now that you say that.
I played a lot of both of those.
Both of them, but like for whatever reason, I rented that other one a lot more.
Well, that one was more like Venom heavy.
Yes, it was. Yeah. They announced the new Super Mario Party Jamboree, which is out October 17th. I didn't even buy the last Mario
do enjoy
Party.
The fact that they have completely said fuck it to naming conventions, and now it's just
whatever they come
Jamboree.
Up with. Yeah.
Next one's going to be like Extravaganza or whatever. The only thing about these games that annoy me is like there's only 7 boards again.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
And 5 of them are new and 2 are returning boards.
I kind of wish instead of this, they would have gone the Super Mario Kart 8 route here and done like with Super Mario Party, and just added more boards to that.
Why can't these all just be boards for that game?
So
why do I have to keep buying new games?
Because like I don't think that this Mario Party game looks better visually than the last one.
It looks identical.
It looks identical. So like I just don't understand like why make a new game when you could just add to that one and make it a huge Super Mario Party.
Like there was Super Mario Party, and then it was, you know, board pack 1, board pack 2, mini game pack 1, where you could choose what you want to buy. You want 2 more boards? They're $5. You want 30 more mini games? They're $5. They could have just added them all piecemeal to this original game.
Agreed.
And then you could have like one. You guys want to play Mario Party? Yeah. You boot up one game. It has everything in it.
Yeah.
That's so much better.
For sure. One of the biggest announcements at this, probably I would say my favorite announcement of this showcase. For sure. We're getting a new Zelda game, as we kind of alluded to, I think, the last podcast. But with a twist, it is for the first time ever. You're going to play in the mainline game. You're going to play as Princess Zelda. So The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom will be out September 26th. It's in the same art style that they did to the Link's Awakening.
Which is like
came out like, what, 2-3 years ago?
Mm-hmm. Which is like my favorite version of that.
That's an amazing game that I should go back and finish.
It's my favorite Zelda game.
I haven't finished that version. So
it's so good.
I need to turn on my Switch. It's probably like 6 updates behind at this point.
The gameplay in this game looks super fun, like creating the copies of stuff to solve. It's almost more of a puzzle game than anything else.
Yeah.
Which I love because Zelda always has like puzzle elements to it. But the way you can solve stuff in this, where like you can build little stairs out of beds. I bet you there's going to be really fucking crazy, like game breaking stuff people figure out in this game. The speedrun for this game is going to end up to be like 4 minutes. Because somebody's going to figure out, run here, make a copy of this. You can jump over this wall. You end up underneath it. You know, it's going to be something so dumb.
Yeah, I think so too. It
just
cool
looks so good. I'm very excited for that.
I'm excited for that. They did also announce a Switch Lite Hyrule Edition.
Too late in the console generation for me to want us.
If you couldn't get me on the OLED Switch, you're not going to get me on a Switch Lite.
No, for sure.
Just Dance 2025, sure.
Wow.
I don't think we need to say more of that.
It happened again.
Yeah, it happened again. Lego Horizon Adventures, which, you know, we saw some of that at the PlayStation event.
They showed a lot more of it here, though. Like,
they showed a lot more of it here, yeah.
What it looks like you're going to be doing and stuff, and it looks pretty fun. Like, I like the Lego games.
Stray, which is a great game, is coming to the Switch. I don't know how well it's going to run on the Switch, because that was a pretty good-looking game graphically.
Yeah, there might be. I can think of 1 or 2 times during that game where it might get real choppy.
But cool that it's coming to the Switch. I mean, that's the last platform it was not on at this point. Yeah. Tales of the Shire. I mean, even as a Lord of the Rings fan, I don't care about this. Like, do you want to live the life of a hobbit? I don't.
It looks really like boring and generic.
It does look very generic. Like, I think even the people that would be interested in playing a farm simulator, you have Stardew Valley. I don't think you're gonna go and play this.
Or you have actual farm simulator, or you have
I don't see this.
Hundreds of other games in this genre of stuff.
I don't see this doing well. So, the Ace Attorney Investigations Collection, this looked pretty cool because I think doesn't it have that one that never came out here, and then it has that redone art design that looks really cool, like hand drawn. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's out September 6th. That's really cool. The 100. This was there was a person that was behind this.
This is the Danganronpa game.
Oh, okay. That's right. Okay. The people that make Danganronpa have a new game called the 100 Line Last Defense Academy, which is out next year. That looked pretty crazy, but it looked, you know, like a Danganronpa game.
It looks cool. I've never really gotten into those games.
You know, the funny thing is I have those games on the PlayStation because at some point they had like a collection sale.
Oh, yeah.
With those and the Nonary games.
Yeah, which I love those games.
Which I bought those. Yeah, right. At some point I got to sit down and play one of those.
Yeah, and I do love Zero Escape. Like, those are the Zero Escape games. I love those games, so I know I would really like Danganronpa probably. And, like, you know, Digimon Survive is kind of like that too.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe I give this one a shot. This one looks interesting. Like, it looks cool.
Romancing Saga 2, Revenge of the Seven, a remake of Romancing Saga 2. Any interest in that? I don't think I've ever played a Romancing Saga game. As someone who's
bought a lot of like the Saga games, I've never really liked them.
Okay. I've never played any of them. I probably have one or two.
God, I think there was Unlimited Saga was a PS2 one, and I bought it. I think I bought it because it had a demo for 10-2 in it. That sounds right. Now, because it wasn't 12. Right. 12 was in Dragon Quest 8.
Yeah, that's why I bought Dragon Quest 8.
Right, that's why I bought Dragon Quest 8. And before I realized that was a good game.
Well, for me, I knew that Dragon Quest 8 would be a good game, right. But it was one of those, like, I'll buy it at launch because I want to play that demo.
Yes. Yeah. And then I want to say Unlimited Saga had the 10-2 demo, which is why I bought it. I didn't really care.
That makes sense.
I don't like that version of Square games. I don't care for.
Okay. But that's out, and that's out on, I believe, everything, not just the Switch, but that's out on the 24th of October. And then the final announcement here, they finally did it. In a year, we were wrong. We were wrong about everything this year. I'll say for that.
Fine. I'm happy
I didn't think this was going to be shown. I didn't think Perfect Dark was going to be shown. Metroid Prime 4, which is now called Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, announced for a release of next year. I would argue it's probably a release that is on both Switch and Switch 2 whenever it comes out. It really looks like a not Switch, but a little bit better graphically.
They confirmed it was running on a Switch.
They confirmed it was running on a Switch?
Not on a Switch 2, which...
It looks really good, though.
Yeah.
Visually.
I would say this is definitely your last Switch game that you...
big.
Care about.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean?
I mean, I couldn't tell you what's going on in the story because I did not play Metroid Prime 2 or 3. So
I played 3 a very long time ago. That's all. I can't remember much.
But watching it made me go, you know what? I need to sit down and actually just replay the first one. I have that Switch version that came out last year, and I haven't played the original Prime since it came out.
The Metroid Prime games are really good.
They are good. I have no argument there. I just never played the other two. I only played the first one. So I was hoping here, and I still think it's going to happen, but I was hoping here they would announce like, hey, we're going to port 2 and 3 over here as well.
Yeah, a little weird. I
still think it'll happen.
I always find that a little strange just because the collection exists on Wii.
Yeah.
What more do you have to do to it? I mean,
but again, 2025, we have time.
Yeah. Well, that could always be the kind of thing where when the Switch 2 comes out, then they're like, oh, then we'll port Metroid Prime 2. It'll be on both. There's going to be that year overlap where things are on both because Nintendo likes to do that. But
I can see that.
Yeah, this will be this generation's Twilight Princess where it's on both and you regret buying it for the lower one.
Yeah. But that wraps up the Nintendo Direct. You were higher on it than I was.
I thought it was super solid for like what's probably the final main one.
Yeah.
I think the highs were extremely high because you have the Zelda, which we knew it was kind of spoiled ahead of time. There would be something Zelda related. I don't think anyone would have pegged what it was.
No.
So that was a very welcome surprise. Actually seeing Metroid Prime 4 reemerge,
crazy.
5 years later, pretty crazy.
A new Mario and Luigi game, which in that pretty style, cool. Which is cool.
Yeah.
Again, then a lot of cool things announced that are in multiple different places.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then again, though, you have to filler, like the Hobbit game.
Well, it's gonna like I said, it's gonna be the last major direct because I feel like the next one will be Switch 2 related, but it's not going to be till the end of this year.
I think it's going to go exactly like the Switch did. I think it's going to be in October.
Remember,
it's going to be a random.
Comes out in 6 months. There you go.
Remember, it was literally like the day before. They're like, "Hey, we're going to show this thing tomorrow."
Right.
And we're like, "Oh," and then we're like, "Well, let's see if we care." And then they showed it. Everybody's like, "I really fucking care."
And before they showed that,
we were down on it.
I don't really give it. I don't think I care because it sounds like it's going to be weird. And then they just showed him picking it up, putting it down, clicking things off. And I went, fuck, dude, it looks good. No,
this thing's actually really cool. Yeah.
It's a great idea.
And I think it's going to go the same way. I think they're going to put it out. They're going to say, hey, we're going to show it tomorrow. And then I think they're going to say, hey, it's out in 6 months.
We're showing it tomorrow. They're going to show the thing. They're going to go pre-order start in a week. And then it comes out in March.
Because I could honestly see something like that Metroid game being ready for March.
Yeah.
I can see it.
It's had 7 years, so yeah, I think it could make it
it's had its time, so that's for sure.
There's going through a lot of beta testing now.
They've had a lot of time to beta test that, but yeah, that's my prediction. And I think, I don't think you're going to get another Switch Direct because again, what else is there to talk about?
You might get something where it's like a Pokemon Direct or
indie games. They do that a lot. It would be a very
focused one, not something like this.
So, obviously, as we transition here to other news stories, the 360 digital storefront's going to be closing July 29th. That's coming up pretty soon. We're a month away from weird. That. I feel like it literally was like 2 years ago they announced this, and we're like finally getting there where it's getting to that point.
It's going to be 19 years that store will have been open.
That's the thing. It's like I see the people that are angry about it and upset, and I look and go, but it was open for this long. Yes. That's longer than any other digital storefront that I can remember when it comes to games. So it's a long time. And again, a lot of the games that you want to play have been moved over to the new hardware.
Right. And there are ways to get most of the stuff. The only thing about this that's odd is the only way to buy some DLCs is only on the 360 store.
And that's why I brought this up. Yeah. So there are some backwards compatible games like Gears 3, Far Cry 4, if you play the 360 version of it. Life is Strange, Assassin's Creed 3 I know is backwards compatible. LA Noire, I don't know if LA Noire is backwards compatible because they did that new version. But I do know Assassin's Creed 3 is backward compatible. Obviously Gears 3. These games have issues with their DLC where there are certain parts of the DLC you can only get on the 360 storefront, like purchase them. But then once you have them purchased, they will show up in your digital library.
Microsoft's always been very good about, like, if you've bought something, even if it disappears, you can still get it. It still exists. You still get it again. I remember the biggest example of that was the Marvel Ultimate Alliance shit when all of that stuff went haywire. But if you had bought it, you could still get it because you still technically had it. But it's also notable that a lot of the stuff on that store is just on crazy sale now. There's and it's for like $3.
I have to dig out the 360 and load it up.
I need to get mine
in the next month and just be like, okay, is there anything here that I should get?
Just a double.
Because the other thing, like, and also it's the kind of thing where like, well, maybe down the road they'll be like, oh, this is back compat now, you know. So especially
I need to get out my Final Fantasy 13 branded Xbox 360.
There you go.
With my wireless adapter.
Is that the only 360 you have? You don't have a newer one?
No.
You never get. You don't have like a Slim leftover.
No, never got one. Never needed it. By the time it came around, my 360 was still kicking.
I have three 360s.
It's the kind of thing where if I could ever find a Slim in really good condition for cheap, I would buy it.
Yeah, I have one of the older fat ones still. I have in the box. I think it's behind me. You can't see it. It's on that shelf there with all the Halo stuff. But I have the Halo 4 one that came out.
Mm-hmm.
That's all boxed up and complete. I don't use that one anymore because I have I also have at some point got one of those like last like models they made. Yeah, I have that one. And so if I ever need to do anything, I hook that one up.
That's the kind of thing where like I'd be okay with just buying one of those. I don't need a special version. I don't care.
I think that has like a 320 gig hard drive in it. So
I don't even necessarily know if I would need. I would just buy whatever like the smallest version of that is if I ever wanted to play something at 360 that for some reason is not on something else. But I do need to get out mine and hook it up just to double check.
I just need to look at the storefront because there's not an easy way to look at that other than having 360 hooked up.
Yeah, I wish it would still work on the website where I could just log in my Microsoft account and just shop on there. Because I feel like if I could, nice. I'd go on there and probably just be like this.
Yeah,
put my PayPal in and be done with it.
So I'm trying to remember the last time I hooked up a 360. I think it was to play one of those Gundam Wing Dynasty Warrior games.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the only way you could have.
Yeah. So like again, there are a bunch of 360 games that just aren't backwards compatible.
Yeah.
So Gundam 2.
Yeah, great that's game. A weird one. But
never even put that on PC, which is bizarre.
That's all dumbass licensing and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
You know about GTA Plus. Yep. You've heard of it. Okay. GTA 5, they've debuted a new less than ideal quality of life feature into GTA Plus, where you can use, if you have Plus, you can use like the mobile app for Plus to grab your money instead of loading up the game. Like if you have businesses that earn money, I believe, or like, so, which again, a lot easier to do that with a phone app than load up the game every time. So people are upset about that because they don't want to pay $7 a month. And they also are afraid, obviously, that sets a precedent for GTA 6, which I would tell you, GTA 6 can monetize the shit out of GTA.
The precedent has been set by Shark Cash. So
yeah, they're going to monetize the shit out of that.
A lot before. We would sell hundreds of dollars in Shark Cash just at our location.
I would argue it rivaled COD coins at that time.
Oh, it was more. No, we sold a hell of a lot more. The only thing I would argue was close would be 2K bucks.
Yeah, every once in a while.
There was always people that would buy basketball coins, but Shark Cash, it would be, best part is it'd be 13-year-old kids coming in and give me $50 to buy some Shark Cash.
And it's not, and that's the thing, like,
over and over and over again.
It wasn't small amounts of money.
No, $50 at a time, every time, and that's just our location in our town. You got to think, like, multiply that by 50 for some stores. So, I mean, the franchise is already monetized to hell.
And I mean, now I'm sure a lot more of it would be V-Bucks for Fortnite, but same thing.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And 6 has that story mode that we're all going to, looks interesting, and I want to play the story mode of that game. They could give a shit about the story mode in that game. It's all GTA Online.
At this point, I would be more fearful of how the story is going to turn out for that game, because I would have to imagine at this point, the sole focus of that game, or a majority of it, is on the multiplayer.
Yeah, it is, Online. But I feel like,
because that's the cash cow.
I feel like that's two different teams, right?
Oh, it is. It's not the same thing.
I feel like the story will be good just because 5 was good. 4, I liked 4. Even 3 was good. Like, they do a really good job. Well, 4, there are parts of it I don't like, but they put a lot of effort into the story of those games, especially like.
Well, you have to remember the House brothers aren't there anymore,
right?
It's all new people. True. So that's the other fear, is like it's all new people.
But what happens when they're like, okay, you want to play online? You need GTA Plus.
I can see it.
Ooh,
I can see it. I also will say I foresee that game launching without GTA Online being ready.
It'll be like 5.
Much like GTA 5.
When the day it launches, it won't work for a
broken.
Week. Yeah.
So I cannot see that being ready to go day one, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be.
It's own.
It is.
Thing.
We learned very fast it was its own game.
Red Dead didn't have online at launch either, right?
I don't remember if it had its launch. That you're talking about Red Dead 2?
Yeah, I think it was shortly after.
Might have been delayed.
But again,
I think so too.
That's a different game.
That Red Dead Online did not take off.
No.
So because those kids just wanted to play.
It's a bummer.
It is a bummer because I played a lot of the original Red Dead Online.
I loved the original.
It was
Dead.
so good.
Yes.
So good. Just the free lobby. Like not even doing any of the matches.
Hanging out, man.
Hanging out.
Guys riding up on horseback. Yo, shit. You got to run.
I like killing people with that absurd tomahawk.
The tomahawk was insane.
Insane.
But
overpowered.
But yeah, by the time Red Dead 2 came out, everybody just wanted to fly jets and run a business and do heists, and like it just, there wasn't enough to match it.
No.
Now what if we got LA Noire online and we're all cops in the 50s LA?
You mean there's different desks, but they're all kind of the same?
Yeah.
It's still a very good game, but it's just
for sure.
The desks.
What if we could all be cops in that room, and then we could all get yelled at by the chief?
There you go. Stellar Blade has sold 1 million copies. Shouldn't really surprise. I don't think it should surprise anyone.
No.
And honestly, like, because I saw some people trying to pull down, but I'm like, that is impressive considering that game is on one system,
and it's a new IP,
PS5, and it's a new IP.
Yeah,
it's not like it's on the Xbox and everywhere else. Yeah. It's one system. It's
not even on PC. It's a new IP.
It's not on PC. It's not on PS4. Console.
Yeah,
PS5 only.
That's impressive. So, and guess what?
I bought a copy. I have yet to play it.
That means you get Stellar Blade 2.
You are going to get a Stellar Blade 2
easily.
you've seen this. This is one of the big controversies this week. And I mentioned it earlier. Elden Ring's DLC is out. Shadow of the Erd Tree. I have my issues with it, which my big issue is like, why are there no achievements or trophies for it?
That's the thing that I feel like is the controversy.
That is the controversy to me, yeah. Like, but it's being review bombed over being too hard. And
what are we talking about?
We're talking about a Dark Souls game.
What the fuck do you want it to be?
Yeah, like I can understand. Like, I'll say this: I can understand. Consider I've played most every Souls-like game now at this point. I've even played Lords of the Fallen. I can understand to an extent getting to a point where like it's so punishingly hard it's not fun, because I've hit that wall with some of those games.
I've hit that wall with games in the past.
I told you, I think the last podcast or one before with Lords of the Fallen, like their gimmick in that game, that's not fun to me. And that's why I put that down right away. It's like, I can't foresee myself doing this for 80 hours.
You know what game I hit a wall with really quick, just because we're on the topic?
Yeah.
The original Ninja Gaiden on Xbox.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about a wall, like a difficulty wall. It was like chapter 7, that Alma fight in the church where she's throwing like stone columns and stuff at you. That made me, I was like, I'm out. I'm just done. I paused it, set it down, walked away, and I just never went back.
I mean,
but that game pissed me off. Even
every Dark Souls game, I've hit my wall with a different boss. The first one were the two fuckers in the church. I can't think of the name. One guy looks like the sun. The other guy looks like the moon. There you go. I did 2. It was early on. It was the Pursuer. He was a piece of shit boss. The third game, a boss I never beat because he was optional, was and I think us and our friend Tyler agreed at the same time when that game came out. We refer to him as the true boss of that game, because the end boss of Dark Souls 3 is a joke. This guy like flies around a cloud and shoots lightning bolts at you. He is a piece of shit. I don't remember the boss's name, but it sucks. I never beat that boss because I just was like, I've beaten the game. Like, who cares? I like every one of those games has that breaking point. But from what I've read from the different things, it seems like it's not even just the bosses. They've ramped up just like the enemies in the overworld.
They did a patch. They did that patch.
They did patch it.
Well, it eased up like the beginning of it.
I think I sent you the video of it too. There was one where this guy was like, I'm so excited. He had like 670 million souls saved up or something. He's like, I'm going to start the DLC. I don't know why somebody would walk into this new area without spending their souls, crazy. But whatever. And immediately just you watch something run up to him, hit him once, and he's dead. Lose all those souls.
Oh.
And I was like, well, but that sounds like a fun time. So I can understand to an extent, but like also you have to know what you're getting into.
Right.
It's a Dark Souls game.
It's implied
it's going to be hard. So I don't get review bombing it over that.
That's dumb.
Blue Point Studio, who's made a bunch of fantastic different remakes for PS4 and PS5, the Demon Souls remake. Then they do the Shadow of the Colossus one.
I think so.
We like, people don't ever talk about that remake, and that was a good one.
That was a good one.
That was a mind-blowing how well that looked. They're still working on some sort of original game for PS5, so it's not going to be a remake. It's like an original IP. Cool. Be interesting to see what they do there. There has been some rating boards leaks that seem to confirm the next PS2 to PS5, or at least one of the next PS2 to PS5 titles will be Time Splitters. I think it seems like it's the first one. I'd like Future Perfect.
It looks like it's the first one, but my thought would be they would just do all three of them at some point. I agree. It's a great game. If people don't know, that is, if Perfect Dark is GoldenEye 2, Time Splitters is GoldenEye 3. It's the same people, same general gameplay, same sound effects.
Yeah, they do actually have the same sound effects.
Same sound effects.
Yeah.
But absolutely fantastic game. And then that series just gets better as it goes.
It does. It does. Future Perfect's amazing game.
2 is great. 2 is great too, though. Like,
2 is good too.
We played so much multiplayer 2 on PS2 over FireWire cables.
I was gonna say, I remember having to go out and get one of those FireWires, and then having a setup in one of my friend's basements where we would run the FireWire under a door into another room and shut the door and have another TV.
My buddy's basement was huge. You went down and it went over, and there was like the main part, and then it had like a pool table and a bar. So we had a TV over by the bar, up on the bar, and then we had one in like the main thing. And I went to like 2 or 3 different stores to find the correct FireWire cable because you need a specific.
It was hard to find that too.
It was almost impossible. Finally found one, and then we would just play Time Splitters 2. Yeah. Holy shit! Like all of the time. And we're talking like 4 players on one CRT versus 4 people on CRT.
And I don't think there was a lot of games that took advantage of that FireWire link.
PS2, there weren't a lot. I think we did. There was one other game we used to play with it too.
Well, for me, that was
game that did it.
Maybe. It sounds right. And for me, that was like the Halo experience because I didn't have an Xbox.
It was Halo,
and my friends didn't really have Halo, so that's what I did until Halo 2, and I got an Xbox, and then that became we over your TV and your Xbox.
We time splitters until we all got Xboxes, and then we would just play Halo, and then we would do Future Perfect on Xbox.
Yeah, and I did a lot of Future Perfect on the original Xbox. That's where I originally played it. So. But yeah,
I'm excited.
So I'm excited. Hopefully, it has online multiplayer. That's what I would hope.
Oh man, I don't know these
Future
PS2,
Perfect. You could play it online if you had Xbox Live.
That's true. But like these PS2 to PS4 things on this emulator thing that they're running, they seem to just be like ports. So it's like whatever.
I forgot to mention it. I did load it up. Only played like the intro just to see how it ran, but I did buy Ghost Hunter.
Oh,
and it runs great.
Okay,
it's fine. It runs at 60, so I think the original game did because I think that would mean it did because they're not doing anything to change frame rate in these.
No,
so
no.
Yeah.
These are just ports. Resident Evil, the original. This was kind of alluded to the last couple of weeks, but the original Resident Evil is back on PC right now. It's on GOG. It will be coming to Steam at some point. They are also going to do Resident Evil 2 and 3. So this is like the classic trilogy.
Right. The original.
Okay.
I'm waiting until the Steam release comes out. So, and I will pick it up on Steam. I would have to imagine these will also come out digitally, at least on the consoles. If they're coming to Steam and they're coming to GOG, it would make sense.
Yeah.
Maybe not a physical version. I would love a physical. I think that'd be awesome. But I feel like it'll just be a digital thing. Payday 3. Is anybody still playing Payday 3?
I don't think anybody ever did.
I think anybody that was playing it just went back to Payday 2 if they care. It's kind of getting like some sort of version of an offline mode that they've promised for a while.
But you have to be online to play it.
You have to be online to play it. Yeah. So I don't know. I remember when it got announced, it was like, hey, it's coming to Game Pass. And whenever that was that, I think it was this time last year. And I was like, oh, that might be cool. And then it came out and it's been a disaster. So let's talk about the craziest, weirdest announcement that has happened in the last 2 weeks. Something that I would have never guessed in a million years. You would have never guessed.
No, and it's kind of strange because we talk about this franchise a lot.
It's a franchise that I want to come. I want a new entry.
Right. And that's the thing.
And we talk about it all the time.
We want a new one.
I want a new one. I'm not unhappy about this. Let me put it this way. I'm not unhappy about this at all. There is one thing that might make some people unhappy, and we'll get into it. But Dead Rising is making a comeback, sort of. It is the title of it is deceiving because it is called Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster, but it is a remake. It's not a remaster.
Yeah, it's not.
I've looked into so I was waiting because when I saw this get announced, I was like, oh man, there's one YouTuber that I really like to watch, and his whole channel focus is just the original Dead Rising and like all these different beta versions. And this guy hasn't made a video in like 2 years. And I'm like, dude, this dude has to like wake up. And immediately I saw the guy tweet out the other day, like, holy shit, what is this? And then immediately a video. And that guy went hard. I watched it today. He went hard deep on just analyzing that one trailer. So this is a remake. So it is important to note we're going to get a full blown like blowout of it on Monday. Capcom is going to do a stream. I believe it's Monday night. They're going to have some other stuff, but this is the primary focus of the stream. It is announced for this year. They did not give a date, but they said this fall. So we'll talk. We'll talk about the controversy, the weird part of it. They have redone Frank West, his character face.
Yeah.
And it is a different voice. It is not TJ or is it TJ Rotolo? Is that his name?
So
I think so. Which I know some fans are gonna be upset. I mean, he had a different voice in 4, and I thought that was fine. So
yeah,
and you don't know the story behind the scenes. Maybe that guy didn't want to come back. He clearly didn't want to come back for 4. So
right. It's been a long time. I mean, it's
been long enough that I don't think I think. Considering what's going on here and some of the screenshots I've seen come out, the fact like how much better the lighting looks, I was mistaken. I thought it was Unreal 5. It's a new version of Capcom's MT framework engine is what's running this. It looks amazing. Just a little bit I've seen, like, and now especially today, watching that guy compare like the original version of it versus this version, it looks amazing, like absolutely amazing. So I'm super excited for it. There's not really much to say. It's a really brief, like minute. It's like a minute long trailer. Just shows him jumping out of the helicopter. So we'll see. We'll have much more to talk about. Hopefully the next time we record. But I can't wait for this. This shot way up on my like most anticipated list. Like I don't care. My hope, and you and I have talked about it. My hope, and this is the thing I hope the most, is that we're gonna get like maybe they do co-op for this since they're remaking it. I don't think they will, though.
I think it's too tough to force it into the first game.
Yeah. I think it might be as well.
Right.
I would like to see. I would like to see the 7-Day Survivor return though, because I think that mode is really cool and unique.
I think if you wanted to, you could put co-op in that.
Yeah, and that would be the thing I would want to do co-op in.
Sandbox mode, kind of like
or something. Yeah,
where 2 like you could just play it if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So you could do that, but I think the actual like narrative story, it would kind of break it.
Yeah.
I do too. But yeah, we'll have more to talk about next time we record because that stream is literally in a couple days. So, but I am super looking forward to that. So that came out of nowhere. Like I had no expectation. It was just all of a sudden I opened up YouTube the other day and was like, what is this? And I think I blew up your phone. Look at this. Like, here's an interesting move. Amazon, I think we kind of knew this was coming up because they had talked about it a while ago, but all of Amazon, I believe it's all of Amazon Fire Stick, like the ones that exist, right?
I believe so.
Or is there a cut up? Can now are going to be getting xCloud gaming, so Xbox Cloud Gaming, through an app. So they potentially added a ton of customers.
2023 models of the Fire TV Stick 4K Max or the 4K.
Okay.
So you need the 4K Fire Stick.
But they're pushing hard on the streaming, and like I said, the couple times that I've used it, it's worked. It's not great, but it's worked for me.
If it's similar to what I did through my One X, it's not great, but it does work.
I think we'll get there at some point, but I don't think we're there yet. But still interesting that it's finally going through. And I think because this is happening, I don't think whatever that Project Keystone was, which was that streaming stick they were going to make, I don't think that exists anymore.
Probably not.
If they're doing
They're probably just going to do the apps and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. The Ubisoft CEO has confirmed multiple Assassin's Creed remakes are on the way. Sounds like they're going to remake probably the first 3 at some point.
Sure.
I don't. Do you think that's ground up remakes or just remasters?
I don't know. Do we need them? Like that's.
I don't need. I can entertain the idea of the first one being remade because it's been 15 years.
Yeah, but it's a different.
And if you go back and play it, it's pretty rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, remember they did Mirage was kind of like their way to go back to that style. So there might be people that played Mirage and said, "Hey, I kind of like this style." So I don't know about remaking 2 and 3 and going further than that though. I just don't think that series is as beloved as some of the other ones that are getting remakes.
Not anymore. I think there was a time for it, but I think they've overloaded it. I
do too. So I'd be more concerned. I would be more focused on launching the new one this fall and hoping that does well. So I put this in here more as I thought it was funny. The developers of Tribes 3 have ditched the game just 3 months after launch. So they're kind of just packing up. I think it was free to play. So, but they're just packing that one in 3 months after launch. I mean, sometimes you see games like this fail, but
right,
pretty crazy that 3 months after launch. I threw this in because I thought this was cool. There's a crazy mod coming to Starfield that people are working on right now that is going to throw in locations from the Fallout and Elder Scrolls series.
That is weird.
That's going to be weird. It's like you're going to be able to go to like a planet that has Elder Scrolls locations. You're going to be able to go to a planet that has Fallout locations.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's a cool thing to implement into Starfield. So I'm glad to see that there is like a section of people that mod Bethesda games that still have attached themselves to Starfield, because it did seem like when that game came out, the fall off was pretty hard. And I thought, well, maybe it won't get like the, like people are still modding the shit out of Fallout. People are still modding the shit out of Skyrim.
Yeah.
So, but it's cool to see like now people haven't quite given up on Starfield yet. So, but that's a cool one. And then I threw this in here because it just made me laugh. This last news thing I put in here, this was today. Konami's Metal Gear series producers, the guy that's working on this remake of Snake Eater, says it would be a dream to work with Hideo Kojima again.
Yeah, no shit.
Of course it would be.
You think maybe Konami is kind of feeling it?
Yeah,
since they got rid of him, and then just watch the success of Death Stranding, and Death Stranding 2 is going to be coming. And
this Metal Gear Solid 3 thing will do great, but yeah.
Oh, I will buy it. Yeah. Like I am super excited for it. We'll see if it comes. I think it's this November, and I think they're being coy with the release date.
It could be.
It seems like it's ready to go. But I am excited about it. It's a bummer that Kojima's not involved with it, but it still seems like it's going to be a pretty faithful like remake of it. So, and who knows? Like, hopefully it does well enough that let's remake the first one. So it's been long enough. So, and Twin Snakes has only ever been on GameCube. They've never ported that anywhere else.
Still super weird. Yeah.
Which is weird. So I'm going to throw this over to you. And if you want, you can even read the email attached to this, because this is a humorous GameStop. This is just
our GameStop segment of the week for something dumb or something they did this week. That
this time it's a company thing.
It's a company thing. So we got an email from Adam from Redacted. So it says, "Howdy 572 crew, current GameStop manager here, and I wanted to write in because I'm fuming about there being no conference this year. If you guys haven't heard, they will not be having our annual conference this year for I think the first time ever. Not counting COVID, of course. This was the one time a year I looked forward to something related to this job. Now that's been taken from me. I find it even hard for myself to get excited for new game releases, and without something like that to motivate me, I should probably be looking to get out, right? Clearly this has to be a sign that the end times are here for GameStop. I mean, you should always be looking to get out. Always. Period. No matter what.
Yeah.
Conference being canceled, it's not surprising because it was going to happen. It was going to start to happen at some point. But it is a huge bummer. I mean, as someone who, ran a store for years, that was easily like probably one of, if not the most like major perk of having that job. Conference, at the end of the day, conference is work. Like I did have to go to meetings and I had to do all that kind of crap. But for 2 or 3 days, it was hanging out with friends and learning about, products and stuff coming out, seeing stuff before anybody else, playing stuff before anybody else.
Yeah.
I was in that room where the Wii U release date was leaked. So that was a wild time. Like weird stuff just happens at conference, and it's because you're there with friends and you get to go off and do stuff. How much of it is true that, the thing that was always said was, well, Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo pay for a lot of this. They're the reason we have this conference is because we're there to learn about their products. And, they've changed. A lot of those guys have changed how they view these kinds of shows. E3 doesn't exist. They can handle all that stuff themselves. Sony used to have a really big, like a marketing team that would have reps that would come to our stores and teach us about stuff.
I don't really have that anymore.
I was friends with the guy who was the district manager in the area. That's all gone. Like that, Joe's jobs were eliminated. Microsoft doesn't make physical stuff anymore outside of consoles, basically. So like the need for these kind of like shows and stuff is disappearing. We used to get physical copies of everything for free. And then it became, some of it's digital. And then it would be, well, you're not even getting some of this stuff. And then it was like, it's all digital. So, it's a huge bummer because that is like the one thing that they always were like, people would be like, well, if I can hang on till conference, I'll be better and I'll make it. But it sucks that it's gone. But last year I heard everybody got sick and a lot of people got COVID because those things become like a cesspool.
I heard a lot of people got
So
COVID
I'm not surprised that, it's a bummer, but it's a good and a bad thing, mainly a bad thing. But
it also makes sense to me though, given the current, I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it came back.
COVID didn't kill it for good.
Yeah. Yeah. That is the weird part of it. Yeah. So, but we can move on. We got some movie stuff to talk about. I'll go ahead through the stuff that I've seen first. I'll hold off on one and talk about that last. But TV stuff as well. I should say. So there's been some TV stuff. I finished Fallout. Fallout is done now. The whole reason Fallout is finally finished. My girlfriend wants to watch The Boys new season, which I have not started yet, and I told her we got to finish something. So Fallout was the thing, and then I had forgotten when I mentioned that, and then I was like, oh, the Bear's back. We're gonna watch the Bear first because we can get through that fast. But Fallout, I finished Fallout. I think it's great. I like that. I like the way that it ended. I like how it's going to set itself up for the second season. I won't spoil with how it ends or anything for people that haven't seen it yet, considering it took me 2.5 months to finish it. But I like how it ended. I like the twist that they do at the end, and I like where it's going to go. And I think that the characters that you want to care about throughout the show are what's going to propel it forward for however many more seasons that it goes.
Nice.
We can talk about the Bear. I've not finished it yet. We are literally halfway through the season of this season of the Bear. We probably easily could have watched the whole thing last night, honestly, because it's only a half-hour show, but it is a show where there's so much shit that happens in 30 minutes of this show. It is ridiculous how the way it goes. It is quick. It is fast. It's one of those kind of shows. If you're not into fast dialogue, it's not going to be a show for you. It is. You have to be paying attention, but they talk really, really fast. Everything is extremely fast. I think it is the best written show on TV. I think it's the best acted show on TV currently. It's a tremendous show. And one of the things I like about it too is that they will get top tier actors to show up just for a scene. So this season we had a scene where Josh Hartnett shows up for one scene.
No.
He just happens to be one of the dudes, he's divorced from his wife. He has a kid that they share custody of, and this is the new boyfriend of the wife. And it just turns out to be Josh Hartnett. They have one random scene together. And then the craziest one, which we just watched today, for this season, they got Jamie Lee Curtis is the main dude's mother, which is crazy too. Yeah. And I will say there is one episode last season, and is the only episode of the show that's ever been an hour. It is so ridiculous what happens in this hour. It is like going to this family's house for Christmas. It is so fucking insane. One of the most anxiety, it was the kind of thing where that episode ended. My girlfriend was like, we need to stop watching this for the night because that gave me anxiety. It's so ridiculous.
That's wild.
But she's the mother. They get actors like that, and there's no fanfare. It's just oh, they're here. The craziest one today, there's these two brothers on this show that are kind of like the maintenance men, and they make me laugh. One of them is a YouTuber, Maddie Matheson. I don't know if you ever heard of him. Very funny dude. He's hilarious on the show. He has another brother. They introduced their older brother today, Sammy, who is just fucking John Cena. Just shows up. And when he first showed up, I'm like, oh, I don't know if this is going to take me out of it because that's a pretty big name to get. He fits so perfectly in this one scene. He's able to get in there because I was like, I don't know if he can fit the way this show rolls, how quick they are with the dialogue. He fits perfectly, right in and out. And I'm pretty sure it's the only part of the season he's in is this one extended scene. So it's ridiculous, but I can't say enough good things about that show. I don't know how this season ends. We'll finish it this weekend, but I cannot recommend that show enough. It is by far, bar none, my favorite show on TV right now. Okay. So cannot recommend enough. It's on Hulu. So, and it's like I said, it's a quick watch. So, and then I threw this in here just because when I, not even just when I'm working, while I'm in the office, I like to play movies in the background on the TV and hear from my server. And for whatever reason, this movie, it's a classic that I haven't seen in a long, long time. And it's played on that loop twice this week. So in between, even though it's played twice, I probably paid attention to half of it at one point and the other half of it at another point during the week. It's an old comedy from the 60s starring Don Knotts of the Andy Griffith Show fame. If you don't know, I'm a big Andy Griffith guy. So I grew up with Andy Griffith. So it's called The Ghost and Mr. Chicken. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I've seen this movie multiple times.
Okay. Hilarious.
I love this movie. It's great.
Classic. Hilarious movie. It's on the server.
We used to watch it. We used to watch it all the time. My mom is a huge Andy. You could ask her any question about that show.
Yeah.
She could answer it faster than you could even think about it. So anything like related to Andy Griffith, Don Knotts, or whatever was always kind of like on in my house.
Okay. Yeah, no, and I think all of Andy Griffith is streaming on Paramount right now. I think that's the home of it right now. Yeah. We owned it on DVD, but it was this weird version where it played they couldn't get the licensing for the whistling theme song. So it's like this weird.
Oh, that's odd.
Like shitty, not the real theme song.
Weird.
But it's the rest of the episodes are just as you remember. My only complaint about what I have is when I saw the movie as a kid multiple times, it was black and white. And this is the Technicolor version. Right. I cannot find a version of it in black and white anymore, which sucks because I liked it better as a black and white movie.
It's how I remember watching it.
That's how I remember it, but I'm also a big advocate for black and white. But I watched it a lot, but it showed up to 2 times this week, and I paid attention. I'm like, it was a pretty great movie. So, I'll briefly talk about it, and then I'll talk about Inside Out 2 because you and I both saw it. Nosferatu trailer has dropped, which I've been waiting for it. Which now I'm going to go watch The Northman because that's the only movie by this guy I haven't seen. I've seen The Witch. I've seen The Lighthouse. This dude is perfect.
That guy? Oh man.
This dude is perfect to make a Nosferatu movie because he knows how to do that gothic style. And I don't know if you've watched the trailer for this.
No.
It reminds me so much of the 92 Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Okay.
So I'm 110% into it. It looks amazing. Everything about Willem Dafoe is like the Van Helsing type character. They do a smart thing in this trailer of not actually showing Nosferatu. You just see side shots of him, which he's played by the guy that played Pennywise, which that's fine. I mean, that's the perfect choice.
That guy knows how to play that kind of character. So
this movie has both that Nicholas Hoult guy and Aaron Taylor Johnson, which is kind of weird. Yeah. They're both in it. So, but yeah, it just looks amazing. The music, the costumes, everything about it just harkens back to that era. I don't know why it's out on Christmas Day. It should have been Halloween. Wow. That's the one thing I have, but I told her, I'm like, we don't do anything on Christmas Day. We do everything the day before. So I think we'll actually go and see this on Christmas Day. I want to see it really bad, but amazing trailer. That easily shot up as my most anticipated movie of the year now. And then Inside Out 2. So you and I have both seen it.
Yep.
I'll say from my perspective as a not big fan of Disney stuff, I don't really care. This was not, I'll say it wasn't a movie that I would have wanted to go see. This was more my girlfriend really wanted to see it. And I was like, all right. I actually really liked it.
It's really good.
And I say that also as someone who wasn't really a big fan of the first one, but
I would tell you,
I'll preface that by saying when I watched the first one, it was right after my hernia surgery. Wow. So that might have had an effect on it, but
I like the first one enough. I think it's a good movie.
I think this was better.
This is better. It feels like it has more direction. It involves all of the characters more.
Yes.
Because the first one really turns into a movie where it's just joy and sadness, and then the other three are kind of there. This one, it's really about all of them and everything that's happening. All the new characters are good. This one feels like it has more real world scenes that are more poignant to the story.
It does, like, that they make a little bit more sense.
In the first one, they cut out to her kind of reacting to things, but then it goes back in. And this, it's actually like you get to see her life and like what her life is like. So yeah, overall I thought it was really good. I took my two kids. My two kids loved it.
We went.
Want to watch it again immediately.
We went, and it's funny because I had said like, well, I want to see if we get in one of those new auditoriums, and yeah, it was in one of the new auditoriums at the theater that I go to. It's funny because now I know where they were, and like, it's literally like they broke down a wall that was there and just built more auditoriums. It's really crazy. Weird. Like I would have never known. It's all of a sudden like there's a new hallway here, and I'm like, what's happening? And we went down, and there's some more. They're not big, but it does kind of solve a little bit. I was like, when we went to, I was like, oh, maybe this will solve the problem every time we go to this theater, which is there's always people bitching in the hallway or in the lobby about how they can't get seats.
No.
We went a week after this movie came out on a Thursday night. It was sold out, and there were still people bitching. So, and there's now 13 screens at this theater. They went from 8 to 13. So, but the one thing that this theater did that I really like, and I kind of hope that this is something that happens from now on. So whenever you go, obviously any theater you go to now is assigned seating. They always do the thing where the seat numbers are either like real small and they're on like the armrest, or they're on the floor. They did this theater. They stitched them on the back of the seat, so you can just read it right there.
Thank God.
And it's amazing. I'm just like, okay, my seat is C7. It's right here. So that should be the path going forward. So,
that's ideal.
But yeah, I loved it. I really thought it's probably one of the better, at least modern Disney movies.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. Like
it did a really good job. I could not have told you that was Maya Hawke as Anxiety. I would never have known that.
Yeah,
so I looked it up.
She doesn't necessarily sound like what you remember her from like Stranger Things.
No, not at all. Yeah. So I looked up. I was like, I wonder who did that. And then when I looked up, it's like, really?
It's a little weird, but like she was great, and like just the way they like just how everybody kind of fits into the mold of the first one, and they touch on some things and do more. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it.
Do you want to see? Let me ask this: do you want to see a third one? And if they do you think it would be correct to continue with this character growing up a little bit more?
Yeah, I think so.
Or do you think, okay, I was going to say,
have her be in her mid-20s and the only feeling left is depression. How about that?
There you go.
Everybody else
is a little bit darker.
It's all depression. It's all black in there. Yeah, I think there's room for one more. I think you could get away with one more, because in this movie, I think she's supposed to be like 13.
Let me ask this question. Do you think that it's odd that the whole point of it, or the whole sport thing in this movie, was hockey and not like soccer?
No, that's what it was in the first one.
You thought it was in the first one?
Because the point of it was she moved from Minnesota to San Francisco, right. So she would play hockey if she lived in Minnesota.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, I think it works fine. There's people out there bitching about representation and shit in this movie, and those people can go fuck off. Like,
I thought it was fine. Yeah, like I'll say this. Going into it, I was
forced.
like, nothing feels forced, and like to use. I guess I'll use the term woke, but like, there's nothing woke in the movie.
Not at all. Like,
not at all. It is probably the cleanest Disney thing I've seen post COVID.
It's just normal. It just seems like this is this girl living her life and the crazy things.
I went into it, at this point where it's like, I hate Star Wars. I hate what they've done with that. I like all this other stuff. I'm like, it's just give me another.
The MCU's trash. A lot of Pixar stuff lately has not done great.
Yeah, and I was like, are we just going to tarnish another Pixar movie? No, this just turned out fine.
This one's on path to hit $1 billion.
I think that's a big reason why is because people have gone to it. It's a movie for families and kids, and I think they enjoy it enough. It's like, I'll go see it a second time. It's what it used to be. For Disney.
Just make a fun movie where it's half funny, half heartfelt, and everybody.
So now my eyes turn on Moana 2, and I hope that it turns.
I think that'll be fine too.
I think it'll be fine
because they really just have to make that movie an extension of the last one, which is a very good movie.
They do.
And they got the important people back. They got her and The Rock back.
Do you think between this, Moana 2, and Deadpool, Disney's going to have these three movies make $1 billion this year each?
Definitely 2 out of 3. Moana, I think, would be close, but I think everybody likes Moana. Like, I don't think anyone.
I like the first Moana, you know, and it had The Rock in it, and he's saying that song or whatever. But also, I think that was one of the better of those movies at that time. Yeah, so,
I think this one will be too, because like we just talked about, animated Disney stuff has kind of fallen off. Like, this is probably the way back in.
Let me ask this question: did your kids ever even make any kind of mention of wanting to see Wish?
No, not at all.
And that tells you.
The thing is, that never came up. None of the they never said anything about any of the live action ones. None of that stuff. Like, the live action ones are weird because I don't feel like those are made for kids. They're made to hit people like our age.
They're made for you and I who saw the animated one.
I saw Lion King as a kid. Why wouldn't I want to see a real version?
Have your kids seen a trailer for Mustafa? Version. Like, do you think they give a shit about that? Probably not.
No, I just don't.
I don't give a shit.
I don't care about that. Like, what aren't they making a Lilo and Stitch live action? Who asked for that?
They're supposedly doing that too.
Who wants that? That's about a fucking blue cartoon alien, and you want to make that live action? That would look like a horror movie if you tried to make it look real.
I don't know. It's nice to see them kind of return to form. So I hope it continues. Like, I think obviously the other one, like Deadpool and Wolverine's gonna make $1 billion.
Oh God, that's gonna be.
I think
people
it's
are so excited for it,
toppling the pre-sale box office.
That might make $1 billion.
I just bought our tickets. So.
That might make $1 billion domestically before it even gets international. Like,
even though I literally check that app every day for tickets to that Nick Cage movie, which they haven't put those up, but I can get my Deadpool tickets.
Deadpool is the kind of thing where people are gonna go see that 2, 3,
and they're gonna go see
times.
It 2, 3, 4 times. Yeah, because there is, and the other thing is there is no other Marvel movie that's out this year unless you're counting Kraven and Venom.
No one counts those for any reason for anything. Those movies should
Madam
never
Web. So
I think. They could go 3 for 3. I mean,
I think they could too.
What other even movies coming out this year could touch that?
I don't know if any other movie that's coming this year that's going to hit $1 billion.
Mission Impossible's not this year. Next Fast movie's not this year.
I will say, I don't think
it's dying off.
Well, I don't think it's going to hit $1 billion. I have been watching the predictions for Twisters, and I do think that movie,
I think it'll do
whether it's good or bad, is going to do good.
Again, that's made for people our age who watched the first one as a kid, and want to see more Twisters. You know,
but I just looking over the movies that are coming out this year, I don't think there is anything else in the realm that would even come close to making $1 billion.
No.
It is what it is. So. There's not really any other superhero stuff. I mean, Superman is being filmed right now, so that's next year.
Mm-hmm.
Batman, is up in the air for whatever that. I mean, we're getting that Penguin show in September, but
but I think will be shows.
I think the Penguin is also a litmus test for: do people still care about this version of Batman? Should we do a part 2 or not? So, and I think the numbers on it will tell, because the Penguin show does not look like a PG-13 show.
No, and it probably shouldn't be. But
no,
it's
a mob show.
But again, it's the kind of thing where I know you would probably advocate for more Batman, but if the DCEU is really going to try this let's start over thing, then just start over. You know what I mean? Not to say that I haven't seen the last one. I will watch it. Not to say that that's bad or
that's anything. A great movie. Yeah.
But that could live in its own vacuum and just be its own thing of a product of the time. And it doesn't need to continue.
I think it's a great movie, and I would like to see that guy get to do his trilogy because I think it is worth investing in it. But I also realistically look at what James Gunn is doing, and that Batman does not mix with his world at all.
Right. So why not just say the Pattinson Batman, he could come out and be like, that's a great movie. We appreciate it, but it does not fit with the vision going forward. So we're going to let that stand on its own, and we're going to move on. That's all he has to do.
See, the problem is I don't think they're even going to, even though they said that's what they're going to do, I don't even think they're going to go that far, because I think when they look at it is like, they don't want to have 2 cinematic Batmans at the same time.
No,
they want to have one person playing Batman they can sell toys to.
Right.
And of these 2, like this and whatever James Gunn's going to do with his universe, what's going to be more geared towards kids, whatever he's doing.
Right. And I don't think people realize that the point of all of this stuff, and like the MCU was, it's always about selling you on the toy, the game, the whatever. Like the movies have been an important part, but that's only going to last for so long. The point, if he's going to build this universe, the point is to get you in on Batman, sell the toys, sell the universe to the kids, and build it like Marvel did, where they sold you 10 years with Iron Man.
Either yesterday or the day before, Andy Serkis, who played Alfred in the last one, had said they were looking. The last he was told they were going to be looking to shoot in the spring. The next one. They could. So that makes sense.
We'll see. I think it's all up in the air with. They need to make a decision about.
I don't think you get a decision until Superman is out and we see how it does.
Yeah, that's a very important
because
part.
That has to do well for them to go, okay, you could do whatever you want with this universe, because if that bombs,
oh man, they're not afraid. Remember, they're not afraid to just put stuff in a can and throw it away.
They're not.
Yeah, not at all.
They're not.
Really quick, while we're on superhero stuff, just because, did you see that they all but confirmed that the Fantastic Four movie is set in the 60s and it's not part of the main MCU?
It's not, but aren't they going to do something to pull it into the main MCU, I would assume?
Don't you have to?
I would assume at the end of that movie.
If you want the MCU to continue, isn't it almost necessary for them to be a part of it?
Makes sense.
Or are you going to leave them in the past and leave them behind to do their own stuff? I think you're wasting potential for storylines. Because I'm telling you right now, if Fantastic Four is set in the 60s and it's not part of the MCU, then your buddy Doctor Doom isn't part of the MCU either.
Yeah.
Because they can't take him out of there because
he is
the point.
They're not, I don't think, they're saying that it's set in the 60s and everything. Marvel's not going to make an MCU movie now, especially, that doesn't connect to everything else. So I think at some point in that movie, it's going to be, maybe it's what I envision is it's going to be like that first Captain America movie, where by the end of it, they'll be in present day somehow.
I told you, like, as a big Fantastic Four guy who has read the comics and all that kind of stuff, they are very much a time and space comic where things happen all the time. So maybe there is something at the end that pulls them forward with Doctor Doom to the present day or so, but there has to be. You can't do that and start over X-Men and leave this all separate. That's not the point anymore.
Was this the movie that they cast Galactus for?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
And Silver Surfer.
It wasn't a different one. Yeah, Silver Surfer. I know that.
Yeah.
But okay.
So
I can remember if that was this or that was a different Marvel movie.
So maybe there's something about, in order to defeat the Galactus, we've got to go 80 years into the future or something. Who the hell knows? But I just feel like it would be a really big mistake to segment them out, especially when you've already told me that the next couple Avengers movies are like Secret Wars, where the whole fucking point is Secret Wars is it's a team of good guys and a team of bad guys, and you're going to take them out. Like, that's unnecessary. Like, you can't do it.
Aren't they? Because obviously, when it comes to MCU stuff, the Captain America movie's next. Yeah. That's May of next year. Mm-hmm. If hopefully at this point it's been delayed so many times.
There's more reshoots.
I read that the newest round of reshoots is 4 weeks, which is insane.
Well, they've been reworking it to make sure it fits with everything that's going on. And
they have to, and I think that's why
Deadpool is the movie that's going to blow the whole thing up and hopefully fix it.
I would hope. If I were Marvel, that's what I would use this Deadpool movie to do.
Well, I think that is the
point. Want to fix, and I think that is the point. But like, if you want to fix people's problems with the MCU right now, use this, the movie that everybody's gonna go see, to fix it.
And I think that is the point. But like, they do need to fix it. They do need to kind of like reset it, calm it down, pick a path going forward that's not Kang related. Because the answer for a non-Kang related forward path is Doom. So that's again why the Fantastic Four can't be in the 60s. They need to be now, because you can't leave them separated. And
what is that other movie that they're making? Is it the Thunderbolts, or is that what it's called?
Yeah. That's like that's like Dark Avengers. So like Dark Avengers and Thunderbolts were always like, there was someone who was similar to like Bullseye was the Hawkeye, and Venom was the Spider-Man, and all that kind of stuff. So
and this is like, what is it? Black Widow's sister.
It's her. It's Red Guardian. It's
Red Guardian,
Taskmaster.
The new version of
which was, you know what, we've talked about it, but like,
Deadpool could fix that, right?
They could hopefully, but
I hope so.
The problem wasn't that Taskmaster was a woman. The problem was that Taskmaster was some kind of weird that character into. Robot, like
a USB drive.
Yeah, just ruined.
Yeah, it's not Taskmaster.
I forget who else is in it, but U.S. Agent.
I was gonna say U.S. Agent was the other one that I remember.
Yeah, so someone else too.
There's somebody else, and then whoever Julia Louis-Dreyfus character was.
She's like the leader of it.
She's like the leader.
As opposed to in the comics, it would more often it would be Norman would be in charge, but obviously we haven't really seen the correct Norman for this universe, and the only one we've seen is Willem Dafoe, who got sent back to his own universe, but which was still great. But yeah, like Marvel's, they're in a weird place where they made that mistake of saying everything's going to be it wasn't even, to be fair, it wasn't a mistake. It was just, oops, it happened to us kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So they need to fix all that. I don't think there's any TV shows coming.
Agatha.
Oh, that's right. They put out the first picture for that today.
Do you think that does anything?
I think it'll be fun because I liked WandaVision and she was great.
I mean, I like WandaVision.
She was great in that
but I think it's been too long. That's the problem.
It's a little weird, especially after the last season of Loki 4 years. Of refixed all of that stuff too. Yeah. But I'm interested because she's great and it could end up being really funny.
So
yeah, they're in a weird spot. We don't know if we're ever getting another Spider-Man. I
see a new rumor about it every single day. Like, this is Spider-Man. This is what the story is.
He clearly just wants to take a break, and that's fine. He could also be done. That's fine too. He did a fantastic job. And his story of the start through all of the stuff and everything is done. It's over.
I saw a rumor the other day, which I believe this more than the making a Spider-Man 4 with Tom Hardy rumors, or not Tom Hardy. What's his name? Tom Holland. Yeah. Okay. I believe this more, but I saw a rumor that they're maybe looking to cast Miles.
Yeah, we've talked about that before.
Which is like, that is what I would do.
That's the best thing to do. And you know what the best part is? You could go ahead and make that movie, and then in 2 years, Tom Holland says, "I'm down. Let's do it." Boom.
Get them together. There you go.
Done.
Just call it Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly.
We're done.
Perfect.
That's all they have to do.
All right, we can move on.
We can move on from that, though. So let's kick into emails.
Whoa.
Matt saw a movie.
Talk about Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, Matt, I'm sorry.
He saw the movie of the year, I think.
Yeah, man. You can't skip that.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I'm thinking animated. No.
The Winnie the Pooh, the horror movie.
Winnie the Pooh 2.
Yeah.
Which you said is better.
It's way better. It is way better than the first one. So, like, this Winnie the Pooh felt like a actual slasher flick.
Okay.
So I kind of want to. Okay, spoiler. So, like, if you are gonna watch this movie, give me like a minute, and you can probably come back to the podcast.
Dan will never watch it.
Never watch it.
And I don't care. You're fine.
In any case, so what the first one did between Christopher Robin and the main girl, they kind of eliminated in this one. Okay. So people in this movie, Christopher Robin was the villain in a way. Everybody thought the first murders from the first movie were done by him in a Winnie the Pooh mask because nobody believed him.
Okay.
So like when Owl comes out and he's pretty much manipulating Pooh and Piglet, they kind of just go on a rampage and they just start like essentially killing people. Like, and come to find out, you actually find out that there was a guy who was conducting experiments on children.
Oh, okay.
Who essentially turned these kids that he kidnapped into Pooh, Piglet, Owl, Tigger, everybody. And come to find out, Winnie the Pooh is actually Christopher Robin's brother.
Of course.
Okay.
So, but it was fantastic. Like it actually felt like a slasher flick. Like there was no cheap nudity anywhere.
Okay.
There was like a story and they focused on that story.
I feel like that was probably something they did in the first one just because, hey, we have this license, it's fucked up, we could do this, so let's do it. And whereas now it's like, okay, let's just actually tell a story.
But I have to say, like, I went in thinking this is going to be a bullshit movie and like, it's going to be trash. And if it's anything like the first one, I'm just doing it to do it. But like this second one was done really well.
Do you really have to have seen the first one to watch the second one?
No.
They kind of recap.
Okay. Yeah, they essentially recap what happens from the first one. And
you say the effects look better in this one?
So the masks, like they feel like they fit, they're more form fitting. So when like they actually talk, they're talking and that's not cool. Just like rah, rah, rah. I will say the one thing that almost pissed me off in the entire movie was Winnie the Pooh never talked, but Piglet, Owl, and Tigger all spoke. Which was really weird because I was like, why isn't Pooh talking? This dude's the main fucking character.
Yeah.
And like at the end, Christopher Robin kills Pooh. And it's dope because he goes, "Oh bother." And I was like, well, that's it. That's all I needed to hear. I was just looking for that one liner.
There you go.
But essentially, like I will say, this one felt like an actual slasher flick. Like it felt really well done. And at the end of the end credits, they play through like they have like drawings of scenes, and I think they're showcasing what the next set of movies are going to be. Okay. So like one was I can't remember now, and now I feel like I need to go back through it, but I know one was Bambi, of course.
We know about Bambi, yeah.
Pinocchio was another one.
Okay.
And I want to say I think Cinderella was in there too.
So there is I don't know if I did. Maybe it's connected to this universe. I'd have to look it up. But there is that Cinderella movie that's coming out called Cinderella's Revenge.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that is connected to this universe. I don't know. I'd have to look into that.
Yeah. So I don't know if this one is anywhere in it. I'm trying to see if I can find out what, because I know
Bambi we know is because we have a trailer for that.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to rewatch.
That looks absurd.
So I know it was Bambi was the big one. I saw Pinocchio, and I'm looking at it now. I know there's like 3 or 4 other licenses that they have, and that they're going to do something. And I have to say, as long as they're done the way this movie was done, this universe actually has the idea to open up a lot. Okay. So I'm actually kind of stoked and excited to see what happens. So yeah.
So you're down for Bambi.
I am. So I think for a minute it looks like what's that one elephant? The
Dumbo?
Heffalump? No.
The
Heffalump in Winnie the Pooh.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't think of the name. But yeah.
I think he's gonna make an appearance if they do another one, because based off of what I'm watching now, it looks like that.
Okay.
So I mean, this movie actually kind of brought me in. I'm like totally down to ride out the rest of this.
After watching that first one, like, this is trash.
It was absolute utter garbage, but this one kind of redeemed it. And like I will say, if you really like slasher flicks, this one was probably a good one to actually just watch. And it was cool to see how Owl manipulates everybody into essentially doing his bidding and doing what he wants them to do, and kind of seeing where it's at. It's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty solid.
I should throw it on at some point when I'm playing something.
Give it a watch. I think you may enjoy it because you like slasher flicks too. I really do feel like I said, it was a lot. I paid more attention once I saw the direction it was going in. So
that makes more sense.
I think you'll like it. But that was me. That's all I saw. Now we can skip to emails.
All right. Now we can kick off to emails. The first email we have comes from Tracy from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Hey, guys. Love the podcast and love when you guys talk movies. Kind of a random question, but I'm curious. What are some of your all favorite movie trailers for a movie? Maybe a trailer that got you absolutely excited to see a movie, something that you thought really pushed you from being not interested to, I have to see that, or maybe a trailer that is a great example of staying away from something. Thanks. You have some stuff written, Dan, so I'm going to let you go first.
Yeah, so I was trying to really think back to like trailers and stuff that have gotten me excited for movies. I tend to like most of the superhero trailers, at least like the first ones that are like the 2 to 3 minutes, just because these are characters I'm familiar with, especially in the MCUs it was on, because you get more about like the next step for these people. Like the Spider-Man trailers always got me super excited for the movie, especially No Way Home, where it's like trying to pick out the little pieces of like what it could be, because Marvel has gotten really good at cutting stuff out of the trailers. So you kind of not to give stuff away, so you have to kind of guess, and
they'll fully just edit a person out of a scene.
People out. They edited the gauntlet in Thanos' hand in that first Avengers movie to make it seem like it wasn't the end of the movie. Like they do a lot of tricks, so I like watching those to kind of see where it's going and like what little things maybe they changed, so you can kind of get an idea. I love action movie trailers. Like all the Mission Impossible trailers always get me amped. And all James Bond movie trailers always get me amped. Like Skyfall especially was like, Skyfall just felt like it was building to be like the biggest Bond movie there had been in years at that point.
That one I would say, I would even say that most recent one had a great trailer.
Yeah, it did.
That I don't think the movie was good,
but they know
the trailer was
they know how to cut a Bond trailer.
They know how to cut a Bond trailer that gets you psyched.
The car chase scene,
the music,
something fucking crazy. The music builds. Like those always kind of get me.
Those are a classic example.
Now you want to talk about bad, and I can talk. And it's funny because I like most superhero trailers, but bad ones are like Batman versus Superman. The trailer for that is bad because it really just kind of pointed out how every choice they made for this movie was just wrong. Like, part of the problem with that trailer too is it gives away a lot of what's going to happen.
It gives away a lot of what is there, but I think the biggest thing for me, it highlighted, like even going into it as someone who was excited to see it.
You were, I remember.
I was excited for it. And I still think there are good elements in that movie, but the one element that stuck out like a sore thumb from the very first trailer, and I said it when this person was cast, but Jesse Eisenberg is Lex Luthor.
That ruined it.
It ruined a good majority of that movie. Right,
because he was just a bad Lex Luthor. Like,
he was a terrible Lex Luthor.
And that movie didn't do a good job of making me excited for that. It didn't even do a good job of making me excited for like the fact that it's called Batman versus Superman.
I'll say I think I still would say the first hour of that movie is tremendous up until you get that weird fucking scene, and you know the scene I'm talking about.
Or push the Jolly Rancher
where that scene too, but the scene where Flash comes back from the future is where that movie falls apart.
It doesn't make
because it comes out of nowhere. It makes no sense until you see later movies. But
even then,
up until that point,
they didn't do it right.
They didn't. But I will say, up until that point, the whole way they were going with the direction of putting Bruce Wayne there, seeing all that destruction. And that was going to be his introduction, because showing him that and being like, this, I'm just a dude, and now I have to take on this alien threat like that. I think that was a tremendous scene of that movie. Yeah. But yeah, it falls apart.
The trailer just didn't get me excited for it because it was showing.
No, because it highlighted Jesse Eisenberg.
Well, and the other thing I think the problem with that trailer was they cut it in such a way where they're trying to get you excited, not just for this movie, but for the ones that are, we're going to make all these movies after it. It's all come together after it. And I think that movie just tried to do too much to set up everything and didn't.
I will also argue they made too many trailers for that movie.
Yes.
Because at one point right before it came out, they gave you the trailer, which was the best trailer for that movie. And that was the one where they showed the warehouse fight.
Right.
With Batman.
But
which was a amazing scene of that movie. That's another thing I
hate about movie trailers. I feel like there's too many. A movie needs one
Deadpool
trailer.
Has that problem right now.
There's too much stuff coming out.
I don't need to see any more.
They ruined the Sabretooth stuff today. Don't show me that.
I saw it.
I saw that. It comes out in a month. Why are you showing me this?
I don't need another trailer. No. I mean, I get it. You want to market the movie, but like you could show the same fucking trailer over and over again.
Movies need one good 3-minute trailer that can be cut into a 30-second TV spot. That's what movies need. That's it.
Agreed.
I don't need 3-4 trailers. The other thing I really hate about movies, and I kind of said this about Batman, Castaway is another great example. Like,
I don't remember the trailer for that movie.
The only thing you need to know about the trailer for that movie is it shows him getting off the island.
Oh, does it?
Yes. It shows
I don't know.
The end of the movie in the trailer. The whole point of this movie should be Does he make it off the island?
Is he going to get off the island? Yeah, I didn't know that. No, I just remember going and seeing it like in the movie.
Yeah, so. I love the movie. They fucking ruin it in the trailer.
That's bad.
That's so dumb. And
that's a good one.
Then there's other things I hate where like I like movie trailers a lot. I hate when the scene in the trailer is not in the movie.
I don't like that either.
Drives me crazy. Mm-hmm. And there's a great example of one, and I don't remember. I think it's the first Transporter movie. There's a scene in the trailer where somebody like shoots a fucking missile at him inside this house or a rocket or something, and he picks up like a serving tray and he like deflects the missile off. I remember this vividly in my head. And if it's not real, I have a mental problem because I remember this like vivid. He like deflects it and it goes like out the window and blows up. That scene is not in the movie because I remember seeing the trailer going, that's fucking ridiculous. And I haven't seen
the Transporter in like 20 years.
You need to watch them again. Those movies are great.
Fantastic.
But I remember that not being in the movie because I was so upset it wasn't, because it was such a dumbass scene that I love in movies like that, where it's just like, where is it? Why didn't he deflect the rocket? So like, that's the kind of stuff about movie trailers that just really pisses me off.
Is my go-to Jason Statham movies are Crank.
Well, Crank is great. I mean, Beekeeper's up there for me now.
Beekeeper is up there now.
Beekeeper's so good.
I'm sorry.
It's still one of the best movies to watch this year.
It's so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are some of my good and bad things about it.
I'll let you go next, Matt. You got some stuff written too.
Yeah. So for me, the good, I really like the Unbreakable trailer. And it's going to kind of be contradictory because I have a bad idea too. But I think Unbreakable was done really well, where it just kind of interested me into it. However, on my list of bad is every single M. Night Shyamalan movie that ever pops out. When it, like, I could be fully invested in the trailer and it hits like the last 2 seconds where it's like M. Night Shyamalan, and I'm like, no, I'm good.
See, I don't even want to play anymore. Kyle and I think might flip on one of those things, but go ahead.
Because I think for him, he is a master of coming up with great ideas for movies, but not following through on them most of the time. So like for every like one good one that you might like, there's 5 bad ones.
Yeah, but what about the new one?
Are you talking about the Josh Hartnett one?
I'm fucking amped.
I will watch it because I think the idea, the trailer is great. I think the premise of that movie is fantastic. And I'm glad Josh Hartnett is getting
me too. I like him a lot, and he looks great in that. Like just the way he gives that like weird smile at the one point, I'm like,
he just looks like he's having fun playing that. Yeah, so like I'm super into that, but like I also know going into it,
right,
that it probably is going to anger me because it's going to do something fucking
twist,
stupid.
I'm going to be pissed off. Yeah.
Because I'll say like the one that came out a couple months ago, or maybe a couple of years ago now, maybe 2 years ago, The Knock at the Cabin. I like that. That was probably the last Shyamalan movie I liked because Old was terrible. That there was one in between. The only other one that I can say I liked in the last like 15 years that's a Shyamalan movie was the one with the grandparents.
Oh, that was so good. The Visit?
Yeah. Because even though you could predict what the end of it was, because it was pretty easy to figure that out, it still was just weird and creepy enough. So
weird and creepy, but that one delivered really well.
It did, yeah.
And like I'm the same. Knock at the Cabin was good, but the only reason I watched it was because Batista was in it. And
he's very good in that movie.
I just wanted to see it because of him.
Yeah.
So the good for me is like every action movie. The more ridiculous it is, the better I'm more invested in it. Like, I don't even know why. But I mean, prime example was Fast 9, where they jumped off the cliff and they showed that pretty much that whole little snippet through the trailer. And I was like, that's never going to happen.
Any of those trailers are great.
Go see this movie.
Like, every one of the Fast trailers are great because they just, every time you think that they've hit the peak, they haven't.
They went to space.
Yeah.
They literally went to fucking space in a car. We had joked about that before that movie came out. It's like, wouldn't it be crazy if they just end up in fucking space? And they did it. And that's why that's why I maintain the next Fast movie, they travel through time. They drive a quarter mile so fast, they travel through time.
Well, we've seen them attach a rocket.
So I'm saying,
the back of a car. So I mean, it's only time will tell.
Travels back
I think people would accept it. That's the thing.
From beating that dude to death with a wrench.
I think people would accept it. That's the part.
I know I would.
I think people.
That's
would be
the last one. It travels back to the beginning of the first one. Hell yeah, it's a loop.
There we go.
And then for me, another one that's gotten me super excited is every Rush Hour trailer I've ever seen. After the first one, I was super stoked for the entire movie, and then I watched it, and then I was like, man, that was just good. Like, it could have ended at Rush Hour 1, but nah. I mean, I just watched 3 the other day.
They're just good mixtures of Jackie Chan action and Chris Tucker comedy. Like, they just work so well together.
They work very well together.
They mesh really well together. And as of right now, the buddy cop movie I'm really excited for is the new Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah, me too. Very excited for that.
That's how you'll be able to talk about that next time.
The trailer for that was
damn right. And I might watch it like 8 times.
Yeah, the biggest thing about trailers in general is the music. Like, I want to, especially for like a sequel, like Beverly Hills Cop, I better hear that damn song. If I don't hear the song, it's not a Beverly Hills Cop movie. That's why when we saw that, or we were talking about like the Ghostbusters trailer before the last movie, the trailer didn't do a very good job of getting me excited because it just.
Yeah, that movie ended up being fine, but you and I both went into that movie going, I don't know, because the trailer was whatever. Yeah, it was kind of weird.
They want to play, I think they played "Cruel Summer" was the song in that trailer.
I want to say that was the song,
but it's like I want to hear the Ghostbusters song.
I'm here for the Ghostbusters. I'm here for
the Ghostbusters song and the car and ghosts. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So that was a little weird. Where bad trailer, good movie.
For sure. For me, I mean, I have some classic examples of. I mean, obviously, the one that will always resonate first would be the original '89 Batman, because that's what got me into Batman and going. But I think if I were to pick like any of those trailers for a Batman movie, it would probably be The Dark Knight. Because that first trailer, do you remember how big of a fucking deal it was when that first trailer hit?
People were going to theaters to see that and leaving, like Star Wars.
Remember before there was all the like, oh, Heath Ledger can't play the Joker, it's going to be terrible. And then people were just stunned at that trailer of like, what the fuck? So I would point that as a good, like a more classic example. I think recently, and I've said this many times on the podcast in the last couple months, but this Long Legs movie, I think, is a perfect example of how to market a movie correctly for horror. It is ridiculous. Just like how well executed, like it's done and shot in such a way, at least these trailers, and I'm hoping the movie's the same way, but we'll see. But it's done in a way that it like almost makes you feel uncomfortable.
You know what that reminds me of is the one that just dropped that you told me about, that Heretic one. I watched that.
Did you watch that? Right?
That
fucking. Isn't it weird?
But
it's Hugh Grant.
It is very interesting because I couldn't tell you what that movie's going to end up being.
I have no idea, but I would like to see it.
Yeah, but
after watching that, I was like,
watching that, like the weird shots of like them walking kind of like through that maze part at the end. I'm just like, this is weird as hell.
How big is this labyrinth thing that's under this dude's house, right? Like, yeah. So that's a very that was a very well done.
To do a horror mystery thriller trailer is to give me just enough of the concept, but not tell me where it's going to go.
Another classic example of one it's not a good movie. I'll preface by saying the movie's not good. The 99 remake of The Haunting. The trailer for that movie is fucking wild. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's like it's inviting you to go to the mansion, right? And at the very end of the trailer, it's like the mansion becomes this like demon thing that speaks. It's not like what the movie's like at all. It's just fucking wild. You should look it up.
Okay.
Movie is not very good, but that trailer was a good like sell. Like, I want to see that, and then the movie is trash. That's a good one. I like the original. Like, I like all the superhero trailers. Like Man of Steel is a good one. For that era of stuff. One that I like pre-MCU would be the original, very first trailer for Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Yes. Oh God, I can't.
Because just like seeing that for the like, I knew it was coming. Like I had seen, like obviously looking at like Entertainment Weekly and like stuff. Like I knew that movie was coming out, but seeing that for the first time, like, they made a fucking Spider-Man movie.
I probably watched that trailer 20, 30 times in like the first couple days.
It's insane. Yeah.
You remember the original?
That's a really.
Do you remember
the
original, where the original would have the Twin Towers?
The Twin Towers, yeah, because it had the web between them,
and he caught,
So
that was an incredible thing. Just be like, I can't believe they made a Spider-Man movie and it looks like this.
That was the first, because I want to say that trailer came out the summer before, so it would have been right before 9/11, and then they took that trailer down
quickly, very quickly.
Yeah. But that's the trailer I remember because of that shot, because it was such an iconic shot of like seeing those dudes in the web between the Twin Towers was ridiculous. So that is a great movie trailer. Another one, like, I really enjoyed when Prometheus was coming out. I really enjoyed how that trailer was shot. Got me excited because it reminded me of Alien. In the same way, I'll say this new Alien movie trailer that came out for Romulus does the same thing. So I think that's pretty cool, and I'm really excited for that as well. But I like how those are shot. And then another, I'll put this last one I'll put out there. I think it's a good movie too, but it's not a movie for everybody. But I like the trailer. There Will Be Blood. You've seen the trailer for that?
Probably back when it came out.
Not your kind of movie.
Not my kind of movie in general, but I probably
amazing trailer. Amazing trailer. So, but yeah, no, that kind of does it for me. Bad trailers to me are the ones that give too much away, or I'm like, well, I wouldn't show that in this. Like when they show you something where you go, well, now I know how that's going to go. I have one example of a bad trailer, then we can move on. The Terminator movie that came out in between the most recent one and Genesis, because they showed you the twist, which I will admit, the movie is terrible, but I will admit was a good twist, because if I didn't know that going in, that would have fucked my mind.
Right.
That was where they were going with the story.
What it was.
But they told you what was happening.
I forgot about that until right now. I'm just feeling like, wow, I could care less.
Movie sucks too. So
it's bad.
They planned that as a trilogy, and then obviously it bombed.
Yeah.
I think Ross and I were the only two people in the theater when we went to see that opening day. Bad movie, but we can move on. There's a lot. I mean, I could go on for hours about movie trailers, but yeah, there's a lot. Let's see here. Next email we have comes from Gary from Cincinnati, Ohio. Hey guys, love the discussion on the last episode regarding your first video games and what got you stuck on the hobby. In kind of the same vein, is there one genre of game that you tend to gravitate towards more, and what was your gateway into that game? For me, I will say I will say I've always been a big fan of first person shooters and stuff. I don't know if there's like one. I wouldn't say there's one gateway, because there have been so many different ones. Like, I played Doom growing up. That got me into that type of shooter. I played GoldenEye. I played Perfect Dark. Halo was a big one. Halo was such a big deal when it came out. Like I said, I didn't own an Xbox, that I went and rented an Xbox to play through it. Because it would, like, nobody, when that came out, like, people were iffy on the Xbox, but the one thing that people would agree on that I remember was, like, you need to play Halo. So, and that PC version of Halo didn't come out until 2003.
That was a while after,
It was a while. I did. And that's the funny thing is, when that came out, I still have it. It's actually in the closet behind me here. That PC version of Halo, that's how I originally played a lot of Halo after renting that Xbox, was that PC version. It's a very good version of that game. So for that, I tend to gravitate towards shooters a lot, but I wouldn't say there was ever like one specific one that was like, okay, this got me into it. It's always been a variety. The first RPG I ever played, and I know Dan laughs at this all the time, is Mystic Quest.
That's a banger.
That got me into
banger to start.
That got me into Final Fantasy. So, and I don't have any hatred towards Mystic Quest.
No,
it's not the best
game.
Final Fantasy game, but I enjoyed it. But yeah, what about you, Dan?
I mean, I think I gravitate mostly towards RPGs. The one that got me into them in general was Earthbound, just because I remember always seeing it at Blockbuster because it had the big box. Because remember, Blockbuster used to put the box of the game behind the Blockbuster cases so you could check it out whenever. And I was always like, what is this big box game? What is this? And finally I rented it one day and I just fell in love with it. Like, so much so that, like, when we had to return it, I told my dad I need to re-rent it. And he's like, well, why don't you pick something else? I said, no, I have to re-rent it. I have to re-rent this specific one because my save is on this one. And he's like, okay. So we re-rented it again. And then, he wouldn't let me do that 3 times in a row. But then that was that year for Christmas, and just tell my parents, like, I want these certain video games. Earthbound's number one. My 3 games for Christmas that year were Earthbound, Secret of Evermore, and Chrono Trigger. And she got me the first 2. She's like, I could not find Chrono Trigger. And I was like, you know what? That's fine, because those 2, Earthbound and Secret of Evermore, are 2 of my favorite Super Nintendo games, like ever.
Secret of Evermore is really good.
You know what? I don't even like Mana that much. I like Evermore a lot more. But again, I played that really first. But that's definitely where I lean. You know, it's interesting. Like Mystic Quest is your worst Final Fantasy. I've probably said this before, at least to you. My first one was 7 on PC.
Yeah.
I never played them on Super Nintendo for whatever reason. I don't know why. I just would have skipped it. Then I had a 64, so I couldn't have played them. And that Final Fantasy game because it didn't exist. And then one day in high school, my friend was like, you like RPGs? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, do you want Final Fantasy 7 for PC? I'm done with it. I said, okay. And then that's how I got back hooked. And I went back and I started playing them all over the place. And that's where I'm kind of stuck at now. But I mean, our RPGs are number one. I mean, I've always played sports games just because I'm a huge baseball guy. So like I would always buy and try out every baseball game. And, you know, thankfully now there's really only one left. So I'm just stuck buying that one every year. But shooters used to be the kind of thing where, I bought them all. I bought every Call of Duty. I played Battlefield a lot, especially on PC. I played a lot of Battlefield on PC. Delta Force before that. But like as I got older, I just stopped caring. And like those games are multiplayer esports, hangout, battle royale type. And I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I would rather play a game by myself.
The only other one I'd throw out, and that was more recent, was as a kid, I wasn't into the tactics type of RPG.
Oh, I loved those.
And then that Fire Emblem 3DS, the first one.
God, that game is great.
That was the game that got me into those, and Fire Emblem specifically. And I'm like, okay, I actually do like this kind of game. And then I went hard into those.
Yeah. When I went on my Final Fantasy journey, I went backwards, and one of the first ones I played on the PS1 ones was Tactics. So I got very into Tactics, and then I played that on PSP, and then I love Tactics. Dynasty, you remember Dynasty Tactics?
Yeah.
I played both of those. I still have them somewhere. Like Dynasty Warriors, but it's a tactics game? Hell yeah.
But I just remember once I got into that, and then 3DS was a great platform for those. There were so many different kinds. Yeah.
Project X Zone.
Project Cross Zone.
You and I would talk about that all the time.
Great game.
Fucking weird game, but
both of them.
Great. But
so good.
Yeah, RPG is number one for sure.
No.
I don't really no gateway one, just whatever.
I don't really have a genre like I gravitate to. Like I like first person shooters. I even like sports games. I like, platformer games. I like action adventure. For me, I guess it's like if I just see something that just looks interesting, I want to just give it a shot. Like, yeah. I mean, for everybody who talks about RPGs, you guys talk about like Earthbound and Chrono Trigger and like Final Fantasies, but like for me, the very first RPG game I ever really played was Jade Cocoon. Yeah. And I didn't even get to finish all of that. Like I rented it. I really loved the concept of it. And then I never picked it back up. So ironically now I have it and I'm trying to find like a completed like copy of it so I can just have it and keep it. But I mean, the very first RPG I ever really completed was, Mario Legend of the Seven Stars, technically. And then from there, Final Fantasy VIII was the first Final Fantasy game I ever really played through, to the point where I bought the manual and like got and like walked through everything on it. And I know it's like not everyone's favorite, but that's my favorite.
Because you started with it.
Because I started with it, and it's fantastic. Like for me, I loved everything about it. Like I really enjoyed it. And like I've picked up all the other ones, and my intention I would love to play through everything, but I know I'm never going to really have the time to do it. But I mean, also, I talk about Tenchu. Tenchu is like one of my favorite games, and it's like a stealth game along like Metal Gear Solid. I really enjoyed that. And then, out of all of that, Onimusha, all three of those were one of my favorites. So, I mean, it, like, for me, I don't have like a specific genre like I really gravitate to. For me, it's just if I'm looking at something and I'm like, that looks like it could be fun, I'm going to pick it up and then kind of just play it and see what I like from there. Because, like, you know, when you talk about liking first person shooters, you're not going to like every first person shooter.
No.
You know, there are going to be ones that are better than the other ones, and then there are going to be some that you don't like. You know, like, just because you like Call of Duty doesn't mean you like Battlefield. But
yeah, I would say I'm not a Battlefield fan.
I was always more Battlefield than Call of Duty.
Yeah.
But see, if you look at it, I think Battlefield looks like has like a better play system than the Call of Duty does. But just Call of Duty's just gotten so much bigger at this point in time. You really can't do anything to catch up to it. It's kind of like its own entity right now. And I mean, for me, if it looks like it could be fun, I want to try and play it. And like when we give game recommendations, I try to keep my eyes out for that. You know, when people talk about other games, you know, I try to just keep my eyes out for it. Because then if it just looks cool, I definitely want to just give it a shot and see what it's about, you know? And I really love when collections pop up in like Play stores and stuff like that, because it gives me the opportunity to buy those and play through those that I didn't get the chance to pick up when I was younger, or, you know, just haven't had the opportunity to play in general. So, I guess that's just me in a nutshell. I'm just a box of crazy.
And I mean, I like to play like all type. I mean, Kyle's the same way. Like I play almost anything. It's just like RPGs are the ones that I know.
My one genre is not sports, but that's me.
But like I even go hard into sports. Like college football is like my most anticipated game of this year, just because I've missed it for 11 years. But you know, I also play almost every fighting game that comes out and get really deep into those. And I mean, I'm looking at this stack of stuff right here next to my PlayStation. It's Outriders, Ghostbusters, Red Dead Redemption, fucking Forspoken, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, baseball, Stranger of Paradise. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like my tastes are insane.
The other one I'll throw out there, I don't know why I glossed over this, Resident Evil.
Oh yeah.
Playing the first Resident Evil got me in, just not just into like that type of horror game, but just horror games in general.
Yeah.
So, and that was just playing that at my cousin's. So,
you know, thinking about it now, you know I talk a lot about Tenchu and hoping that one day I get a new version of that. Just in my head popped up, you know what I really would like? A new version of Tournament Fighters or just like a new version of that.
The Turtles game?
You know, Turtles
game. They've dabbled in that in the past. Remember they made that Wii one that was like the TMNT smash up?
Yeah,
stuff like that. And they're in the Nicktoons thing now, I think.
Yeah.
Arcade one. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Like a real Turtles fighting game would be pretty dope.
I would be down for that. I mean, that's the reason I bought that Injustice complete edition, because they had the Turtles.
They're cool in that game.
It, you know? Yeah, they're.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, but
Chris from New York writes in, says, "Hi guys, with the recent Xbox showcase being quite the banner, I'm curious if you guys think a company like Microsoft could ever develop and come up with a brand new IP that could take over as one of the pillar franchises, like something that could take the slot of Halo or Gears, or do you think that ship has sailed?" I mean, there's always possibility. I mean, 10 years ago, you wouldn't even ever heard of something like Fortnite. Not saying that that's a pillar of Microsoft, but what I'm saying is like there could be a new franchise they kick off at some point. Who knows? I'll say this, not that it's a new franchise, but maybe Perfect Dark takes off.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to think about because they haven't done it in a very long time.
It's been a while.
Forza is maybe the last new one that really like took off.
Forza really didn't
a giant thing.
And I'll say this too, when it comes to Forza, it like kind of became its thing, but then Horizon took it.
Right.
As Horizon kind of rose up and became the main Forza.
Right.
And kind of.
But that's also after they tried other racing games before it that never caught on.
Project Gotham Racing,
GR Midtown Madness, remember that? There's always a possibility of it, but it honestly doesn't really seem like Microsoft is interested in brand new things right now.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It's all either like bringing back a franchise from a long time ago, or we just bought this studio, maybe we should do something. Like Avowed is maybe in that, but I could never see that becoming a pillar
Yeah.
I couldn't either.
It's one of those things where it's more of a one-off thing, which I would like. They were a lot more willing to try this kind of shit in the Xbox 360 days, and it just doesn't seem like that's a thing anymore.
I think at best you get, if Avowed is good, you get an Avowed 2.
Sure, but it's never going to be
like
the kind of thing.
The Outer Worlds 2.
Well, look at Fable. Like Fable was a pillar for a.
It was,
because 1, 2, and 3 were all very close together.
It was a huge
Everybody
thing.
liked them more, but look at it now.
They made the journey.
Now it's, are we even sure the next one's going to be good? Who knows?
Yeah, we don't know.
So it could.
I don't know.
They
could, but I just don't know what it would be.
It doesn't seem like it's part of the game plan right now.
It doesn't. Their game plan now is to be on as many in as many places as they can be,
and it's to get IPs that they're making. Sure, but they don't seem like they're the big ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Sea of Thieves.
For sure. Case from San Diego, California. Hey guys, been listening to the podcast for a while and love your conversations around entertainment and the movie business as well as your reviews on movies. My question is, since I know you all follow comic book related stuff, how are you all feeling on James Gunn's take on Superman from all the leaked photos and even the official one? Are you excited to see a new take on Superman? Do you think he can pull off rebooting the DCU? Thanks. So have you seen these pictures? The ones that have leaked.
Yeah.
Like him and
Mr.
the
Terrific.
goofy wig as I'm talking about the goofy wig as him as Clark Kent.
Yeah,
that just looks
not
wacky.
Great
but
looking.
Again, it's not great looking, but so first of all, my thing with those photos is they're behind the scenes paparazzi shots. Like they're not meant to be seen by the public. I don't think it's going to look that wacky. Like, I don't think his hair is going to look that wacky in the movie. I think it just happens to be him walking from, set A to set B.
I'm willing to give it a chance just because we're starting over and we're committing to do it.
I like how colorful his suit looks.
Yeah.
I like that it's colorful.
It's not the Man of Steel route where it's just going to be everything.
I think this is going to be I think this is a 180 from Man of Steel.
Yeah.
I think this is, if he can get as close to Christopher Reeve's Superman.
You don't think he's going to snap any necks in this movie?
God, no.
No, I think that's over.
No. I think I think he knows how to do the right. I think James Gunn is the type of person, now that we've had 3 Guardians movies, he knows how to do that type of humor. And I think that type of humor fits a Superman movie very well.
Have they said who the villain is? Is it just Lex?
I think it's just Lex Luthor, but there's something else clearly going on, and it kind of looks like Brainiac's in it too, which leads me to my fear. And my fear on the movie is that he's putting too much into it.
Yeah.
Because you see Mr. Terrific. We know that isn't what's his name? Guy Gardner.
Oh, yeah.
I can't think of it.
Yeah.
I don't know why I can't. His name escapes me right now. You know who I'm talking about, though. Nathan Fillion. And that's the thing, like there are other heroes, like obviously Batman's not going to show up in this. I wouldn't be surprised though if you see a mention of like a Bruce Wayne or a Wayne Tech or something in the movie, but
you worry about them getting too far ahead of themselves, like.
And that's the thing, like I just want this to be a Superman movie. I want him to be happy. I want him to be helping people. Bring me back Superman saving kitties from trees. Right. That's what I want to see.
Brainiac should really be the kind of movie that you save, or the villain that you save for like the first Justice League movie.
I agree too.
Brainiac I don't know. A bigger concept than Lex or the tornado from Superman Returns to video game.
I think Nicholas Holt's a much better choice as Lex than Jesse Eisenberg.
I have more faith in him as an actor.
So I've seen pictures of him with his bald head. He looks good.
He looks fine.
So it's like Jesse Eisenberg with the red hair. I don't like, my thing is like everything that we've seen, the one shot that was put out official, it's fine. His suit looks fine. Whatever. That didn't bother me. All the leak stuff, it's leak stuff. It's not meant to be seen by the public. So I don't put too much merit on that. As far as everything else, can he pull off rebooting the DCU? Depends on how this movie does.
I think he's the best chance to have, because I would tell you if he doesn't work.
Yeah, I can agree to that.
And the first,
I don't know what you do.
Let's say Superman and Batman and whatever the third one is, right? Let's say these first 3 of this don't really work. Who the hell could save this place?
I think by the nature of this being a Superman movie, and we have not had a solo Superman movie in over 10 years, it will do fine because people do want a Superman movie.
We're gonna go. I mean, you and I will be there.
I can't wait. Yeah. No, I'm a big Superman.
I like
fan,
Superman.
So I want to see a joyous Superman, which like we were getting there with Henry Cavill, and then we gave up.
Right.
But that's a different topic. But I think this guy looks good as Superman. I think the actress they picked to play Lois Lane is a fantastic choice. The other thing I really like about this movie, and I think this is something that I think James Gunn will do correct, is that he is putting a focus on Clark Kent. He is putting a focus on the Daily Planet, and we're going to get an actual real Jimmy Olsen.
Right.
Remember what they did with him in Batman v Superman?
He was the cameraman. Did he die?
He got killed.
Yeah.
In the first 10 minutes of Batman v Superman.
Yeah, he died when she was out there, right?
When they were, stupid. So I want a real Jimmy Olsen. So we're going to get that here. I don't know. I'm optimistic about it. I think James Gunn is good at what he does. I liked all three Guardians. That last one especially was really good. Yeah. And I think he's the right person to do Superman.
As long as he's in charge of the whole thing, then it can be one vision.
You need you need a Kevin Feige like person to oversee
he comes
everything.
In and says, you got to change this. It doesn't fit with this, and just do it like that.
And he seems incredibly knowledgeable
and he's
about
not,
all
and
these
he's not afraid to tell people on the internet, like, shut up, you're wrong about
That's
stuff.
what I love. That's probably my favorite thing about him is like when somebody will say something stupid on the net about like, oh, I heard they're doing this in the movie. Like he's not afraid to go on there and say, we're not doing this.
No.
Like that's fake. So I do like that because it shuts people down right away. So he's been very good at that. Mm-hmm. But I say for me, it's how well does a Superman movie does, and then what is the actual direction for his version of Batman.
Right.
So, but I'm optimistic. I can't wait for a new Superman. I'm excited to see Superman stuff in a store, like seeing Superman shirts again and stuff. That's what I'm excited
to be popular
about.
Again. Yeah,
it's been a long time. So,
it comes out on DVD.
There you go. Next email we have comes from Trevor from Story City, Iowa. Hey bros, was curious with Dan talking about how much he's been playing the PS2 version of Rogue Galaxy on PS. That's probably where you got
That's probably why I was saying that.
And some of these upcoming PS2 to PS4/PS5 releases, are there any RPGs of that era that are not currently on the system that you would love to see ported over through this? Thanks. So you wrote some, I wrote some stuff as well.
The easy answer that you and I both agree with is like, we got to get Xenosaga on here, man.
Yeah,
like,
I want an easy way to play
even if it's just the first one for now, because that game takes a long enough time. We've got to get Xenosaga on here, because
I agree.
Two, I like one is the best of the three, like by far.
It is.
Two takes a pretty big step backwards because it changes the combat system. It changes how characters look, which was always kind of a strange thing because like Xion, the main character, like does not look the same between the first two games. It's a little jarring, and then three kind of brings it back up again, and it closes it out
for sure.
It was always a bummer that we never got that game. That series was supposed to be 6 games, so it's always kind of a bummer that we never finished it. I think the original plan, if I remember correctly, way back when, was Xenogears was going to be like part 5. So it was part 5's already out. So here's 4 and here's 6. So maybe it is a good thing that they cut it at 3. Those games are phenomenal. Like the story is incredible. Those are some of the OG, like a cutscene is 20 minutes. Have a good one. Games.
Yeah.
But they have really like strange, poignant moments in them with like, especially with Cosmos the robot. There's that part where like she goes outside the ship and she's gonna fire this laser beam out of her chest that you've never seen before. And right before she's about to like obliterate all these aliens, she goes like, Xion, can I feel pain? And then her eyes change color. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? And then she just wipes out everything. It's like a weird, is she alive? Sentient moment. But like the gameplay is good. The exploration of the maps is good. Everything about those games is great. Like that needs to come back.
I would like to see that.
Another one which we touched on earlier, Dragon Quest VIII. That seems like a no-brainer to me to just put the PS2 version on there, like no question.
As I say, there is that like 3DS remake of it that they did, but at this you could just do the PS2 version.
I think what I'm really saying is like Square really just needs to get on here and be like, people are not expecting these to look better, run better. have more content. They're not expecting anything. They're expecting this to be a PS2 game I can play on my console. So why don't we just say, fuck it, and Xenosaga is on there, Dragon Quest is on there. You know what's a wild thing you could do? You could put the original versions of Final Fantasy 10, 10-2, and 12 on there and just make them $10. You want to play the game the way it was originally supposed to be played? Here you go.
People would buy
because the Final Fantasy 10 that you buy now, I don't think people realize is a different version of the game than what it was. Yeah. So if you want to play the original, it exists. And then this is another one I put on here just because it's one of my favorites and it's cheesy as hell and it desperately needs to be on here. The bounce, I would kill to have the bouncer again. Crazy. If you don't know what the bouncer is, it's a weird 3D brawler.
Yeah.
With RPG elements. It's made by Square. The coolest thing about that game is it essentially has a new game plus to it, and that game changes the third time you play it. The boss is different, which is crazy because that's like the true ending is to play through it 3 times.
That's cool.
Fantastic. I love that game. It's so dumb as hell. And you want a hot take? That game still looks good. And it
still looks good, yeah.
20 years ago.
I would argue that.
The cutscenes in that game. I remember seeing the one cutscene where, spoiler for a 20-year-old beat 'em up game, his girlfriend in the game turns out to be like a robot with like Inspector Gadget arms. And at one point, like they cut to a cutscene of her like screaming, like shooting her arms. It looks amazing. I remember just being blown away by that game. It was one of the first games fantastic. I bought for my PS2 after I got it.
First PS2 game I remember being blown away by visually was Kessen.
That game looks great too.
It looked insane.
It's probably rough now just because it's a lot of stuff at some points on the screen. But I would just every Square game, fuck it. Well, again, you don't have to change them. Make them all $10. If you make $10 off it, who cares?
I had on there obviously Xenosaga. I put Eternal Reign because that's a weird one. Mm-hmm. Grandia 2 and 3.
Those would be good.
This is a good one that I don't know if you know what this game is or not. Innocent Life. Do you know what that is? It is the futuristic Harvest Moon.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
I would like to see that because that's such a weird. I'm still looking for a physical copy.
I can think of other like weird one-off games that need to be on there too.
And then these lean a little bit. This leans a little bit more towards horror, but Shadowheart.
Yeah,
I like the Shadowheart series.
Those could be on there.
And then not an RPG at all, but I put Rule of Rose on here, just an easy way for people to play it.
Should be on there. Clock Tower 3
would sell.
Should be on there.
It would, yeah, but like Rule of Rose would sell.
Siren is
just
on
because
there. Why can't
people want to play it. Exactly.
Haunting Ground? You tell me people wouldn't pay $15 to play Haunting Ground? They would.
I would.
Because the alternative is $300.
That game has ballooned up.
It's crazy. It's a good game. I like that game.
Yeah.
But I can think of other weird one-off RPGs like Steambot Chronicles would be a good one.
There you go.
Summoner 2 would be cool. I just like, now that this is a thing and this is essentially just, I was watching some Digital Foundry stuff on it and reading about it. Like, it's just a cheap ass PS2 emulator, which isn't really that great. Is.
Yeah.
Why isn't everybody going crazy at this?
I don't know.
$15, $10. But I'm happy that it's catching on. We're getting more and more and more of them. Like Time Splitters is great. Put Time Splitters 2 and 3 on there. You know what would be a great one that I guess Microsoft would have to do it now. Put that Fallout Brotherhood of Steel game on there.
There you
tell me people wouldn't pay $15 for that right now? They would.
They would.
All the Suikoden games. Boom. Suikoden Tactics. Boom.
I think the reason those don't happen is because aren't there those remakes or remasters that are coming out at some point?
Yeah, I think 1 and 2 are both coming.
Surprised we didn't hear about that.
But those are PS1 games. I'm talking 3, 4, 5 Tactics.
Yeah.
Valkyrie Profile 2. Like, there are tons of weird PS2 games.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me because you have to think that these
Mr. Mosquito.
There you go. Get fucking weird. Gitaru, man.
There you go.
You have to think that they know that there's a market for this and that the market for this is people our age who were in their early teens, mid-teens playing these PS2 games who have disposable income now who want to games.
In a world where I can get in a world where I can get Ghost Hunter.
Yeah.
I think I can get Rule of Rose.
You think Rockstar would give you Manhunt? Manhunt 2?
Probably.
They could. Why not?
They did Bully. Why not? Next email we have comes from Gary from Los Angeles, California. Hey guys, I'm curious if you have any input on the situation with Dr. Disrespect. I'm not surprised we got this email.
I'm not surprised.
The whole Twitch debacle and what's going on with what appears to be possibly a cover-up. I think we all can agree that Dr. Disrespect is a scumbag, but it does really seem like Twitch is trying to cover their tracks with other things. Any thoughts? I mean, first, I think it goes without saying we all are in agreement that Dr. Disrespect is a scumbag for what he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that part of it.
Whether what you did or didn't do is illegal,
his statement, as it was joked about earlier in the week, was something you would have heard out of a Chris Hansen, like, Catch a Predator type thing. Yeah. And then I sent you that thing this morning where it's like they actually had Chris Hansen analyze the tweet that Dr. Disrespect put out, where I watched the video where he literally is like, this is something I would have heard on my show.
Dr. Disrespect first admits that he messaged a minor. And then says, I didn't do anything wrong.
So,
excuse me?
But I also agree on the other side of it with the scuttle that it does kind of seem like there's another element to this with the whole situation with Twitch trying to cover up this situation, because now the new thing that's happened is, I don't know, do you know of the streamer, this Nick Merckx guy? You know who that is?
I've heard of him. Okay. Merckx, yeah.
He said he's made a transphobic comment and got banned. And Twitch is making a huge deal about banning that guy. And I think what he said, is what he said. I think they are jumping at the chance to ban him to try and push the conversation away from this Dr. Disrespect stuff, because at the same time, when you look at that situation, like, Twitch is clearly reading people's chats.
Well, they had
private stuff.
They had to have some place to do that. But
and then there's this situation with that guy that was like a former Twitch employee that was like holding the information so people come to his shitty band show. That I thought that, like, again, the situation sucks already and it's trash what Dr. Disrespect did, but that is not the way to handle it either.
Well,
hey, come to my fucking shitty band show and I'll tell you what really happened. Like, that's dumb.
You've got there's obviously a lot of people couldn't say stuff because of the lawsuit and stuff he had in place.
And that's the other part.
And all of his stuff is finally just coming out now, where I think everybody's kind of like, well, it's out there, so fuck it. Who cares anymore? We're just going to say it all. But let me put it to you this way. You think he's the only streamer who was sending inappropriate texts to minor kids in the Twitch whispers?
No.
God, no.
No.
I would bet that's almost on a pandemic level amongst high-level streamers.
Oh, God, yeah.
I think you and I have been on the same page for a while that I mean, personally, I don't like Twitch. I don't use it.
No.
I don't even watch the Games Done Quick shit anymore. That was like the one thing I used to watch where I've kind of just checked out of that at this point as well. But like, I think the platform needs to be, something else needs to be created that's a little bit safer, and this needs to be torn down.
Twitch is not for children, like, at all.
It's
anymore.
Not. Or they need to make that preference of like, hey, you know what? Like, here is a section that is only for a certain age.
It gets tough.
All the hot tub stuff.
Well, the hot tub stuff shouldn't be on there in the fucking.
I don't think it should be on there at all. I think I'll take it one. I'll take it one step further. I think it should be in the terms of service for Twitch that you are not allowed, if you're a Twitch streamer, to have an OnlyFans link.
Oh yeah, well, there should be something about that word.
I don't think that should be allowed. And I know people will jump on that and say, well, there are people that use OnlyFans that aren't doing that kind of stuff, but that's like 2% of OnlyFans. Tell me Let's
who the
be
top
fair.
1% of owner makers on OnlyFans are. We'll talk about that.
Exactly. And a lot of those top makers are on Twitch.
Which is just
doing the hot tub
Twitch is just not a safe space for children.
Not anymore.
Especially when all of these people, and this happens to adults, it happens to everybody. They develop these parasocial relationships with these streamers that they think are their friends, or they can help them get ahead in streaming. Like, hey, can you help me, push my channel and all this kind of stuff? And they think that they have these actual relationships with these people who couldn't give two shits about that.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, apparently you're a minor and you want to send me some pictures. Hey.
It's such a weird thing where, like, 20 years ago, I would have never thought of a term parasocial relationship. And that's a legitimate everyday thing now in society.
One of the most prevalent things out there, I think.
It's ridiculous how much that has changed in 20 years. But again, remember what Twitch started as? It was Justin.tv.
People hanging out.
People fucking around playing video games.
Yeah. And it is.
And now it's just
chatting where you can watch me go to Walmart and walk up and down the fucking aisles is a thing. Like, what?
Yeah.
The IRL streaming.
Well, and that's the weird thing too, is like it doesn't make sense. And you see this a lot though with people who like just regular people who like gain popularity and then just come up real quick or just come up in general. They're doing inappropriate shit. Like, people do inappropriate shit all the time. Like, the crazy thing is, if you're caught doing something like this, all your shit should just be eliminated. Like, period, point blank. Like, we're done with you. Like, every site and all that.
Well, I mean, that happened. That's happening to him now. Like, he's getting blown apart, which is good.
But I think it needs to be taken a step further with other situations. Like, look at like a couple weeks ago, we saw there was like a couple that were just flat out banging on Twitch. And that person gets a 7-day ban. No, they should be done. Forever on the platform.
Right. Yeah,
like anything like that should never be allowed on that.
Well, the people who set the policies on Twitch have no fucking clue what they're doing.
They change them all the time.
They'll change them. Remember
a couple months ago when they had the audacity to change the wording around the artistic stuff?
Yeah.
Made a mistake.
And then look what happened. Look what happened within like 2 hours. All those anime VTubers, all of a sudden they all had immediately nude skins naked. And everything ready to go. And
women are broadcasting with like censor bars across their stuff. Like, it's just nuts.
You had to have known that was going to happen. It's ridiculous. So I don't know. I used to like Twitch. Isn't it
true
now.
that like Twitch still doesn't make any money?
I don't think it's making money.
Then what is the point?
Or not the money that they want it to, at least. So
what are they doing with it? What's the point of it?
But again, the top streamers are always going to be the ones that are protected. Look at Amaroth.
She could kill someone live on stream.
I was going to say, she could literally kill a man live on screen and they go, 3-day
3-day ban, and then you come back after one. Like,
yeah. Because of how much money is brought in. So, but I do really feel like that is something I would go out there for, is like, I do think that if you're going to be on Twitch, it should be in the terms of service. No OnlyFans.
Luckily, pedophilia does seem to be the line for them. Like, at least there is a line. It's just
I would say at least there's a line, but I wish it was going further in the other direction. Then that is the line. Right. Like, okay, this is it. Where it's like, there's other stuff that shouldn't be on.
They should be actively trying to protect the children they know are using their site.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. And you've seen you have kids.
Yes.
You know how easy it is I don't even have children. But you know how easy it is today for them, like click, claim, boom.
You know
how quick is it to look up something?
You know what a rule in my house is? Just because I got tired of it? No YouTube. Sorry. I don't care if you're in kids YouTube. Matt, you've probably seen it. I've seen some kids YouTube shit. Holy shit, the stuff that makes it past YouTube.
For kids YouTube? I've never gone down that hole. It is a very
dark place.
Okay.
Yeah. So thankfully my toddler watches kids YouTube, but his YouTube is centered around cartoons and like kid unboxing videos.
Yeah, but even some of those, like, you got to be careful.
I'm pretty good about paying attention to all of that. Okay. And like to the point where like I've caught my older son on a YouTube where he was like, it was like Fortnite tips, take off of clothing type thing. And I was like, and so I pulled it up and I watched a video because I was like, all right, let me just see what this is about. And then I pulled him to the side and I was just like, look, you know this is inappropriate, right? And he was like, well, I was just looking up Fortnite. And I said, okay, I'm going to tell you right now.
Don't search Fortnite.
No go.
Yeah.
Like, if you do this and you keep doing this, I'm taking out YouTube. Yeah. And so thankfully he's learned. And like, he doesn't, my older son has like the worst hearing in the world. So his YouTube, when he's watching it upstairs, I can hear it downstairs. So I know what the fuck he's watching.
Yeah.
But like, no, I agree with you. Some of the stuff that passes through there is wild.
It sucks because it's hard to monitor because it'll start with my kids watch people building Legos, and that's fine. And then it's another person building Legos, and that's fine. But then it's just that person doing another activity, which leads to another. The way YouTube works its way around, it always ends up at some place. No, we can't be here, kind of a thing.
Yeah,
weird. You remember those like those YouTube poop things where they would do like weird mashups of all that kind of crap, and it would be like
I know what
weird
you're talking about.
Animations and all that stuff. There are versions of that for kids. And
I think of the King of the Hill ones.
Yeah, it's sort of like that. But there are versions of that are based around like kid stuff, and they're odd. And this is the stuff that makes it through the censors. It gets in that kid's YouTube where some lady's playing with Play-Doh or something and whispering about the time she went to the store and met her boyfriend. You're like, what is happening? Like, no.
I'm just like,
we're out of here.
Nope. That's turning that off. Yeah, I don't know. My thing is, I think Twitch is a bad place overall. So I don't interact with it at all anymore. Anything that I do is on YouTube, and I'm happy streaming on YouTube as well.
YouTube, yeah.
So yeah. Our last final email for the week, and then we're all set here. Oh, actually, we have two emails. Yes. I don't know why I'm bringing this. This one will be a quick one. Then we have one final one. Brenda from Sedona, Arizona. Howdy, guys. Really a question for Kyle, but I'm curious, with you being a huge Batman fan, what is your opinion or thoughts on the upcoming Amazon show Batman the Caped Crusader? Will be a hit, or do you think it'll be good? So this is that Amazon one. That's the animated one done by Bruce Timm. They just put out a trailer. Finally, it's up August 1st. I think it looks cool. I like that it's set. I think it's set in the 30s or the 40s. They're doing some interesting redesigns on some of the villains and stuff. The one thing that people are really shitting on, and I don't think it's that bad, people are shitting on this dude's voice as Batman, and I think he sounds fine. He sounds like Batman. If you want to be upset about anything, go watch that trailer and tell me how the fuck does Alfred look the way he does in that. He looks so weird. I don't know. That was the thing. He just doesn't look like. So the show is set so it's supposed to look like it's in the 30s or 40s.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't look like someone that would fit that time period compared to everybody else. Everything else about it looks fine. My hope for it, obviously, I mean, it would have been. I think that's one reason people are kind of upset about the Batman voice is it was originally going to be Kevin Conroy.
Sure.
Obviously, he passed. So, and I think the dude that's doing it here is fine. My bigger reservation with the show is it is going to be an adult-oriented animated show. In the past, Bruce Timm has done some shitty things. The biggest example I can give is the Killing Joke movie, where he did the whole thing where like Batman and Batgirl have a relationship. Like, no. That's disgusting for starters, and not like, no. My hope is that we don't see dumb shit like that here. So I don't want that here, but I will say from the trailer, it looks promising. There'll be 10 episodes. It's all day one. My girlfriend and I, we're going to watch it. So
dope.
I look forward to it. I think the voice cast they got's pretty good. So, and if the Joker is in it, which they have not said.
So when the Joker appears,
I'm curious. Well, let me put it this way. One of the voices is John DiMaggio, who has voiced the Joker in the past.
So when the Joker
my
appears,
assumption is, yeah. I want to see what his 30s, 40s look is.
Or his Red Hood.
Black Mask is not in it, nor is Red Hood.
Not yet.
But yeah, I look forward to it. I'll watch it. We'll see. Last email we got, this is a cool email.
It's a good one.
Benjamin from Austin, Texas. Hey, dudes, love the podcast. I wanted to write in regarding the conversation you guys had last week regarding the games that got you into gaming, and especially when Kyle mentioned the Castlevania arcade machine. Funny enough, the local Pizza Hut where I live here had the same exact arcade cabinet you are describing. I remember it being red and gray. I remember it being red and gray. The one that we had played Castlevania on one side, and the other side was Super Mario Brothers 3. So that was the other game. I couldn't remember if it was one or 3. I know it wasn't things. 2.
Yeah.
I know it was a Super Mario Brothers 2. The best part is that up until the mid-2000s, they still had the unit in working over until finally one time we went in and it was just gone. I also never asked about it, and I have to agree, it was really a special machine. Thanks for talking about it. That brought back some great memories for me. Yeah, you know what's funny? The last time I Googled it, I could only find one picture, and it was a shitty picture.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Like, just people don't have good weird, pictures of it either.
You think people have to have them, right?
I would think so. I've never seen it. I've never seen it anywhere else. Like, it's crazy.
They must have had a deal. Pizza Hut and Nintendo must have had some kind of.
That's what I'm thinking. And I remember the one that was in our town had a broken TV towards the end for one of the sides.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like the TV was not working. And like that's what I told you. I was like,
into quite the state of disrepair at one point.
Our Pizza Hut was a real piece of garbage towards the end.
God, remember the last time we went there? It was a fucking nightmare. We went as a joke after C2E2.
Remember when was it you or one of our friends was like,
Tyler.
can I get it? It's like, can I get more to drink? And the server said, I guess
she was very sassy, I guess is the correct word to use.
Yeah. Our Pizza, it used to be amazing and it fell off. Now it's a Mexican restaurant. But and they don't have that machine anymore.
Did you?
So.
No. Oh, well, because I've been in the basement of that Mexican restaurant. It definitely wasn't sitting down there.
And that's the weirdest part. So the basement of that place is where the bathroom is. Like you walk down these stairs, and that's also where storage is. And like I said, for the longest time, they just had that thing sitting there. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why I never went up and asked like $50. I'll haul it myself.
We could have thrown it in your car.
Like I will ask to borrow it. Now I have a car that would fit it. So
speaking of Pizza Huts, real quick, I saw something online probably a couple months ago. Did you see that some of them are starting to like redesign themselves to look like how they used to look?
Yeah,
that's incredible.
I'm super into that.
I would kill to have a Pizza Hut back with the lamps and the red cups, and
Taco Bell is doing the same thing.
Yeah, they should, because they all look like fucking office.
I saw, and the only reason I know that is because I saw a video today of someone visiting one of those retro 90s Taco Bells, and it looks amazing. Again,
who is the market for all this stuff? It's us. It's people who, it's nostalgia. That is the market.
You know what they really need to give us is cool. Pizza Hut buffet. I'd be okay with.
Hell yeah. I don't know if I would trust these days. I don't know if I trust a Pizza Hut buffet, but I would go. I don't care.
I would go.
I have no regard for my own safety.
I just want to see the weird light that hangs over the buffet.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
But
the colors,
the red cups, like just bring it all back. The fake brick, like bring it all back.
I don't have any in here right now, but I have some of those red cup types.
God, I need some of those.
Just Coca-Cola cups. Yeah, you can buy those on Amazon.
But yeah, like we're the market for this stuff, man.
Yeah.
Nostalgia.
For sure.
It's us. It's not my kids. My kids don't give a shit about Pizza Hut. They don't know what pizza places exist unless I tell them.
Do they Pizza Hut, like, do they still do Book It? Or is that not a thing anymore?
Yes,
you remember Book It?
My daughter gets those.
Okay. Is that something she even gives a fuck about?
She cares because it's free pizza. So I have used one or two of them.
Okay. Is it still the same thing? You get that little personal pizza?
It's the kind of thing where like
those were cool as fuck. I mean, I'm sure today I'd eat like 6 of them.
I just don't care about Pizza Hut's like Pizza's like number 3 on my rankings of
the one I have in town is the one that I have in town is like the famous one that you and I went to over by where you used to live, where the lady said they have the same old pizzas and crap, which is a story for another time.
My mind.
But it's the same kind of thing where it's like takeout only and it sucks. So
that's what the one we have now.
That's the new model.
Yeah.
The one time I had pizza from that one that opened up, I got
by where the old country buffet used to be.
Yeah.
Oh.
Where there was a drive-by, and that's why it shut down. Yeah. That's a real thing that happened.
Yeah.
I knew someone that one of the people that I hired when I worked when I used to work at the Dollar Tree before I worked at GameStop was somebody that, because it was right after it closed and they were looking for a job, and I didn't know that happened. I didn't read the paper or anything. And then she came in and I was looking at her application because I was the person that did the interviews at the time. And I remember asking like, well, why'd you leave Old Country Buffet? Do you not know what happened? I'm like, no. And told me, I'm like, get out of here. That's a thing that happened. So, but yeah, there was like and I don't even think it was, they were aiming for that, but there was some sort of drive-by. Yeah. That went like bullets went through the Old Country Buffet, and that was the end.
That was, it was over after that.
Crazy. I mean, to be fair, Old Country Buffet was drying up at that point.
Yeah, by far.
The last time I went to an Old Country Buffet was in the mall that is no longer You know what I'm talking about.
Oh my God. I forgot that there was one in there.
And it was only because it was a random day. My dad's like, I want to go to Old Country Buffet. And I was like, wow, sure, where? And then he told me
there was one.
And then he told me, he's like, well, because it was at the time, he's like, I think I was working or something. He's like, well, you can meet us up there. I'm like, okay. And it was literally, when he told me, I was like, they have one up there.
God, that would have been 2000. In that mall.
It was 2014.
No, it was gone before that.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it maybe 2012 then?
It's got to be. I was thinking like 20.
It had to have been before GameStop, so it could have been 2011, 2012. Yeah.
God, there was one in there. That's crazy.
There was one. That was the last one I ate.
You know what else we used to have in there in that mall? Just before we're done. Now I don't think there was one in there, but there was one down the street. That used to have a Long John Silver's in it.
Oh yeah, it did. And
for like a year, and then it was gone.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the one thing. I found a video on YouTube of someone walking through right before it shut down. The one area that they didn't walk in, and I assume it's because it was blocked off, but I wanted them to walk through, was the food court.
And that food court was constantly cycling stuff out.
But hey, in its heyday, that was a great food court.
It was. It had the staples, and then it had the weird one-off things that would come and go.
For sure. But that's going to do it for another edition of Podcast 572. As always, send your emails in to podcast572@gmail.com. And hey, why don't you send in some game recommendations? It's been a while.
Or
I want to hear.
Or movie trailers you liked or didn't like.
Yeah, something. Change it up. Yeah. But otherwise, we will be back in another 2 weeks. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, everyone.
Stay safe.